Wow. Quick gifts. Thank you. Holy cow. You guys can come up if you want. All are welcome. I don't care if I have olives or not. Although I would like conservatives, but awesome. Y'all have people that just make you want to scream. For me, I think that's probably Penny. I scroll through lives. One live ends, throws me in Penny's room, and I have to scream. Just have to yell at people. Messy?
You haven't been blocked yet by her?
No. She would.
All my accounts are blocked.
I'm too important.
Oh, lucky you.
I don't think she would block me. I could probably say the most atrocious things and she'd still have me up.
That's weird.
Yeah, I don't know.
I need you to remind me Monday to remind people to call their reps and make sure that they're supporting the West Bank Violence Protection Act or Prevention Act of 2025. The last couple days, hundreds of settlers have invaded a West Bank village called Nebulas, I think.
So this is a Palestinian village, and then they are taking it over. Is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
So somebody put forth legislation. Do you know?
This was last year because this has been going on forever.
Oh, okay.
But I don't think it's been passed yet because we must protect Israel.
I don't think much is going to happen between now and the midterms. I don't think anybody wants to, especially in the House, risk their seats voting on controversial things.
Yeah, well, only, was it Massey that voted against the NDAA to pass the House?
Well, whatever anybody says, Massey is kind of a real one.
Yeah. Massey 2028.
He believes in what he says what he believes, and he will vote for that. And that's, I guess, even though I disagree with him a lot, that's good for a politician to be that way.
Agreed. I don't agree with his takes on women and their bodily autonomy.
I would think being a libertarian would be pro-choice. I haven't looked too much into it.
No.
Wow.
No, he's very conservative.
Okay. Not a true libertarian.
Was he a libertarian?
Not enough of a conservative to be considered a Republican. Boy, what a space he sits in.
Lib Tears, though, listened to him last night, and Studs, and a few other people.
I came in at the tail end of he got kicked out of the room, and then everybody was talking about how gross he was. What the fuck did he say?
Defending Andrew Tate and his brother. And the video that came out in 2012, but was surfaced in 2016, of a young girl in, I think it was Romania, being beat to a pulp. She was underage at the time, 14 or 15. And he wanted proof showing that she was underage to consent. It was down to a consent argument. I don't fucking know. Gross. Him and Fred were defending them.
That's right. They were talking about BDSM and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That was pretty wild. So
crazy. If we can't,
I guess there are a lot of people calling for Studs to be removed from the communities. I think that's maybe a little too far, but I didn't hear exactly what
I
he
mean,
said.
there has to be a line. There has to be a line. Like, if we can't all agree that it doesn't matter if there's an age of consent or not, or if it was consensual to start and then it ended. This video, this girl was being beat to shit.
Was it by one of the Tates or both of the Tates? Or okay.
Yes.
And is this what's going on in Great Britain? Is that why they're being extradited?
Yes.
Okay.
And Donald Trump's administration is the main reason that their travel ban was lifted from Romania and how they got back into the United States. After which they committed another atrocity on a woman at the Beverly Hills Hotel, which is owned by the Sultan of Brunei, who is also in the files, who Clinton went to visit.
That was after they got here?
Yeah, after they got back. After they were allowed to come back to the United States and their travel ban was lifted in Romania, he did something else to someone else.
All right.
Well, yeah, and Barron's involved with them too, like they're friends.
God. Retrace, can I get your age and who you voted for?
I think we've talked. I'm 22. I voted a third party.
I don't know. Maybe. Possibly. How do you feel about the Tates?
The tapes?
The Tates.
Andrew Tate and
I don't like
Kristen
them.
Tate.
They're pretty weird guys. Type of shit that they're into is weird. Should be in jail.
Okay.
But they haven't been convicted. They've only been accused.
Well, I mean, running like an international porn agency is also pretty evil.
Yeah. Kind of.
Why are you using? Oh, go ahead.
I understand a lot of people come on this app to troll and like to just, and half of them maybe don't even believe what they say. But I cannot have conversations with people if they cannot say that harming another individual is okay.
Yeah, I think that's a good baseline.
Right?
What's with this? Why are you stealing Catholic iconography for this shit?
It was kind of an inside joke, but I was arguing with a bunch of Marxists the other day who said that I'm not Marxist enough. And somebody made a comment about the Marxist-Leninists being as dogmatic as any Christian ever could be.
I would say we're more dogmatic than they are. They're just like, I guess it's similar how like there's a schism in like the left because like if you're not left enough, then you're not left at all. Yeah. Kind of like if you're not Christian enough, you're not Christian at all.
Yeah.
So I guess in that degree, they're pretty dogmatic. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it was because I call myself a pragmatic Marxist. They don't like that. They say that I'm doing active damage by misinterpreting Marx or whatever, and they'll come after me. They'll try and purity test me and shit. And
what is
this a couple days ago, and that's where this background came from.
What is pragmatic Marx? Like, what are you pragmatic about?
I'm pragmatic in the fact that we live in the system that we live in right now, and what I want to do is try and change the system over time rather than even talking about a revolution. I think a revolution is gross. I don't want people to die. I don't want bloodshed. But I do want a better society, so I just want to move there as fast as we can, but utilizing the processes that we have.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even believe that, and I'm somebody who's a capitalist.
You don't believe what?
I don't believe you're gonna get like meaningful like strides towards social.
I can't hear you, dude.
Oh shoot, my bad. How about now?
Can you stop wrestling with your phone?
My bad, I dropped it and I had to pick
it up.
Some southern hillbilly. I heard the accent.
She's MAGA coded.
Yeah, I hear it. Wait, so I don't think you're getting to like socialism through the booth.
Sure, we can. I would at first want to get all basic needs met. So to make sure everybody has food and shelter, make sure everybody has health care and education, make sure everybody is secure in their people and persons, um, make sure that you do not have to worry about dying because of a lack of something that society is not providing. So these are all things that we can do through the system that we have right now. And once we get it set up where everybody has all their basic needs met, we can start moving away from capitalism and more toward socialism in an economic sense. We can get rid of corporations. We can move to co-ops. We can still have markets, but we can start sharing profits equally instead of having labor being stolen from people. I mean, these are all steps we can take within the system that we have right now.
Okay, interesting. But this would still require some degree of like collective consensus, and then on top of that,
called voting.
Right. So to some degree, you would have to have collective consensus, but also it would have to fit within the intentionally designed political system to like isolate, political opposition. So, like, if you're, a socialist who gets elected into the Senate, even if you're 10 socialists or 15, you still have to operate under the degree that, like, everybody else under this system doesn't like socialism. They don't agree with, like, some of, like, the core tenets of your philosophy. And I don't think that happens. Maybe, like, let me not say I don't think it happens. Within our lifetimes, I can't imagine a world where our populace like starts to crave socialism to the point where we like demand it from our
Tell me everything that I just mentioned. Tell me that there's any capitalist out there that would be against everything I just mentioned.
Like, we're going to be flooded tonight.
I was against most of the things you just mentioned.
Yeah,
George, how old are you? Georgia.
It's gonna rain.
Maybe he's too young to figure out how to unmute himself. Okay. Well, fix your shit and get older and then come back. I would say capitalists agree with everything I said too. We are a capitalist. We're a mixed market economy. Capitalism exists in our economy, but we utilize socialism to temper capitalism to make sure that people are taken care of. I just want more of that, and we start moving in that direction. People become accustomed to having their basic needs met, and they're willing to vote for things like that. I don't see this as being a problem. What you're saying.
Like, I agree that if you're like Kellogg's or General Mills, you probably support some extent of like having universal food access. And if you're, Pfizer or Moderna or Eli Lilly, you probably support universal healthcare because that's better for your profits. But I don't see like having like all corporations being in support of like cooperative work structures, having.
I don't care what corporations want. It makes no difference to me.
I think. I guess let me use Marxist verbiage. How Marxists believe that like your dialectics or your social relations affect your reality, like they precede your reality. I think corporations set the status quo for what is like viable and what isn't viable. They get to set like how revolutionary people get.
Corporations are simply a contract. It's a contract between people. That's all it is. There's a person standing behind every corporation that ever exists. The corporation is irrelevant in the process. The people are the people that are relevant. Smaller businesses aren't going to be for monopolies or huge capitalism. Larger businesses might be, but they're very few and far in between, and they hold not a whole lot of power, especially if you take away money from the equation.
Wait, I don't think you said that part earlier. You would do away with money?
I think eventually you can do away with currency as it's utilized today, sure. That's not something I would do away with immediately, no.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I do agree.
I say take the power away from corporations, though. We'll just outlaw corporations altogether.
Okay.
And we'll just force every business to be a co-op.
Like this, this sounds great, sure. Hypothetically, first, I think that politicians do have to balance out their constituencies between the people that voted for them and the people that donated to them. And I regardless of who it, like whether it's a contractor or not, there is money behind corporations, and they do set like the social relations of a country. And I think unfavorable policy towards corporations, they do have the autonomy to move. They do have the autonomy to, strategically move to certain places. And I think we're kind of seeing that now. Also, they do control the dissent. Like a lot of left wing and right wing organizations are funneled through like these super PACs, NGOs, or just like dark money that comes directly from the people who are large like investors or shareholders of corporations. So it's like controlled oppositions on both sides. So regardless of what you say,
that's not a corporate issue. That's just having rich people issue.
Yeah, well, I guess let me say that rich people will get to set the status quo, like the political status quo.
Rich people get to buy commercials. So we just need to get people to stop being propagandized.
Why did you just dismiss that like we're not the stupidest country in the world? The commercials work. They work?
I don't think that we're the stupidest country in the world, and I do think that the commercials work. I think there's a structure that we can set up to make sure that they don't work as well as they do right now.
So this whole thing is just hinged on like so many things happening like the right way.
It's the largest economy that the world has ever seen. Of course It's hinged on a whole bunch of shit.
Yeah, but for them, it's just like, keep things the way they're going. If you, pass a few tax laws, make sure
Elon Musk has to spend $300 million on anti-trans ads to try and get fucking Donald Trump elected as a criminal. These are all things that are going to hinge on other things that are going to hinge on other things. Elon Musk doesn't exist without government contracts. Elon Musk doesn't exist without socialism. Elon Musk doesn't exist without the allowance for immigration into the country. There's a lot of things that are going to hinge on a lot of things that are always going to hinge on even more things.
I think the Elon Musk point is I think that but regardless of which political aisle you support, the reason they are donating is because they are subsidized. Like Wall Street is subsidized or controls like the Treasury, and like right wing oil and gas and like now the tech oligarchs, they just want no regulation. Regardless, they both
okay. So listen to the Democrats and the Republicans. Listen to the people on the bottom. Listen to the middle and lower class. They're all complaining about the same things. They're complaining about the wealth gap. They're complaining about not being able to pay their bills. They're complaining about not being able to put gas in their cars. These are things that the lower classes complain about. I don't know how the fuck you get somebody to vote for a Republican in that circumstance, in that environment, but they do. I think it has a lot to do with social issues. And the reason Elon Musk was brought up in this conversation was because I think that his anti-trans commercials are probably the reason that Donald Trump won. So we need to start moving things to the real issues, the issues that people actually talk about. Most people don't talk about trans people on a regular basis, but they do talk about kitchen table issues like how to pay their bills and with the healthcare costs and shit like that. That's the things they talk about. But Elon Musk is somehow telling the trans people are something they need to be worried about. We should be able to change it.
I think you're mischaracterizing the effects of Elon's ads, and then too why people voted for Trump. Like exit polls show trans people weren't at the top of the ticket. It was the kitchen table talk. It was the economic conditions.
That's what they
illegal.
say.
You don't want me to believe what the polls say?
That's what the polls say. That's what the exit polls say. That's what they say when they walk out of the polls. They were voting for economic issues. But if they're voting for economic issues, they always vote Democrat anyway, because Republicans are terrible on economics. Fucking terrible.
But do you realize that Marxism was created by Judaism? It was created by Jews, dude.
Oh, you're fucking super spreader, dude. What the fuck?
For sure, yes, I am. I'm an accelerationist. Yes. But Marxism was
you're a
created
white
by
supremacist.
Judaism. It was created by Judaism, bro.
It was created by an individual.
I'm also a racist, a Nazi, whatever you want to fucking call me. I don't really care
I know
about the
who you
labels,
are.
bro.
I know your voice. It's fucking unmistakable. Are you even in the U.S.?
I don't care about the labels that you put on me. I'm just simply saying that the prompt that you have up right now is Marxism is simply created by Judaism. That is 100% fact. You can look it up yourself.
Marxism was created by Marx.
Karl Marx was a Jew.
I don't care what he was. It was still created by Marx.
No, well, that's a fact. And if you realize that, then you will stop spreading this bullshit.
Whether he created something or not.
It is 100% relevant. What do you mean?
It is 0% relevant.
Because Jews also, because of Karl Marx, he also created communism through that as well.
I don't want to talk to you today. I don't feel like talking to you today. Fucking white supremacists.
I would blame that one on Elon Musk.
What, white supremacist?
Yeah, Twitter's kind of a shithole.
Twitter is definitely a shithole. But white supremacists existed before Elon Musk. And they will probably always exist because they are disaffected youth, generally speaking, that want to blame all of their issues on somebody with a different skin color.
Okay. Let's get back to what I was saying though, because I actually want to hear why you think polls misrepresent people. For the most part,
I think people misrepresent themselves in polls, especially exit polls. So if you talk to somebody after they come out of a fucking ballot box and you ask them why they voted, they're not going to tell you that they voted because they're worried about a man being in a woman's restroom. They're going to tell you that they want a better economy.
Wait, okay. So I would say even beyond that, leading up to the election, Biden wasn't doing so hot, which is why he had to drop so late into the election. I think that his approval rating was the lowest at the time for any president. And then they were doing really good, like Republicans were doing really good messaging around that. Like they were hyper circulating on the fact that he's senile, he's incompetent. And then Harris is just like, whatever, all the specific targeted ads they ran on her. I think to conclude that like this election was won on like this, I think the only social issue was illegal immigration, but I think everything else outside of that was ancillary. I don't think that it's a good description to say that Elon won him this election.
Okay. I'm not going to disagree with everything you just said. I do think that there were a lot of reasons that Donald Trump won. I think that they were pretty good at spreading out the hate to a bunch of different things. I think they were pretty good at making sure that people didn't vote. I think they were pretty good at taking away mail-in ballots and making it harder for people in inner cities to vote. I think they were good at all of this. I think they worked from a lot of different angles to get to where they were at. I think they got people to not care that Donald Trump is a 34 count convicted felon, which is a fucking wild thing to me too. But I guess my experience has been since I started on TikTok, which was the day before the last election. That's when I started on TikTok. My experience has been is that every single time I ask somebody why they vote conservative, they tell me because of trans people and because of illegal immigration. That's it. That's all they ever tell me. They don't know shit about economics. They don't bitch about taxes. They don't bitch about kitchen table issues. They bitch about trans people and immigrants.
I do. I'm not gonna like lie and say that's not what I've noticed as well. Like I've had a similar experience, and I think all of the political conversations that happen on TikTok are usually centered around trans people or illegal immigrants. But I do think that there is like a selection bias that happens with like the type of person, like it's usually people who are around my age, usually people who don't like know a lick about politics. So they have to like kind of focus on the like culture war shit. I doubt that that's representative of like the real like voting base, especially when you look at the reasons why like Trump won. He swayed like key demographics. Like this was the high, like this last election was the most of the black men vote that he got, the highest Latino vote that he got, more white men that voted for Biden voted for Trump. I don't think these specific groups were voting for Trump just because they just realized that, like, oh, trans people exist now. I think there were particular things that Biden didn't win the messaging around that, and I think it's just because Democrats suck at marketing.
The people that you talked about, it's super interesting that the people that you chose to talk about, young people, white men and Latino men and black men. These are. I'll agree that Donald Trump won these at a larger margin than the vast majority of Republicans before him. However, they wouldn't be. Most of those people that you're talking about aren't voting on economics either. They're voting on immigration and they're voting on trans people. They're voting on college sports. They're voting on men and women's spaces. They're voting on, amazingly enough, Latinos who are here legally don't want Latinos here.
At all?
No, I don't know. It seems like it. They went through the process, and I think everybody else should go through the exact same process that they went through.
I see that sentiment with a lot of immigrants. So I don't think it's just Latinos. I do see like a lot of people who came legally that have like a certain type of rhetoric against undocumented.
Sure, but I mean, this is a huge thing in the Cuban community. And I think it's a huge thing in Texas in general. I think a lot of those people that have become U.S. citizens have said I had to go through this very long process, and they were sold on the fact that Biden just let everybody in for free. So I still think it's those issues that Donald Trump won on, even though people said it was the economy.
So do you think that if it had been somebody else, if it had been like a Marco Rubio or a Nikki Haley, that they wouldn't have won? Or do you think that because Donald Trump can amplify like the culture war shit that he won?
Yeah, Nikki Haley was too close to the middle. I don't think she would have gotten the extremist vote. I think it would depend on what Rubio ran on. So when Rubio started running, he was very central. But toward the end of his campaign and after he ended his campaign, I think he became a little more radical too. And that's why he ended up working for the Trump administration. And since then, I think he's become a complete nut job. But I mean, I didn't mind Rubio when he first started running. I kind of liked him. I think he's a semi-intelligent guy, but I think he turned into this fucking monster.
I think Rubio had the realization that like you're not really going to get much done running against Trump, so it's like you beat him or you join him.
Yeah, and he joined him, and he became somebody completely different. I think he's a different person now than the day that he announced for his presidency, his run for presidency.
Well, I have an interesting question. If you think that Trump won on like those particular issues that you mentioned, I don't think those things are going away anytime soon. And if anything, we're becoming more like they're becoming more politicized and we're becoming more partisan because of those specific issues. What would be the strategy for, somebody you support, like a progressive, to run again in these showdown states to win the quote unquote radical vote?
Well, the reason I brought this up is because we have some things that we agree on, right and left. I will talk to plenty of Republicans that say the rich people are too rich. We need to close the wealth gap. The middle class are suffering right now. A lot of the kids nowadays are talking about how they have no future. They can't buy homes. They know that they're not going to be able to buy homes. They can't find jobs or good jobs that pay well enough. They can't even afford to go to college, or not even sure if college is worth going to at this point. These are a lot of issues that people talk about haphazardly, not as to why they voted for the person that they voted for, but as to what the things that they're actually worried about. And these are things that socialism can solve.
Yeah, but I don't think these are uniquely 2026 issues. So how do you get to convince somebody that like having co-ops is better, that like having co-ops that include trans and illegal people is also going to be it's going to be better? Like, how do you convince somebody that their healthcare kind of matters more than their social issues?
Here's the funny thing about what's going on right now is Republicans and a lot of other people are saying that the DSA is the worst thing that ever happened to the Democratic Party because they are openly socialist and they are winning primaries and they're going to be running in general elections. And this is the message that everybody's running on. But the wonderful thing about that is they think it's bad and they are talking about how bad it is. But it's wonderful because these are the issues that we're talking about now. We have moved away from talking about trans people and we started talking about communism and Marxism. And I'm saying we play right the fuck into that. I am going to play right the fuck into that. I'm going to talk to everybody about socialism that I possibly can. And I'm going to try and let them know that socialism isn't this big, bad, scary thing that Republicans tell you it is. And if we can keep the election issues focused on socialism, Democrats are going to win.
That's a good point. That is a good point. What about the opposition within the own Congress?
That's harder. I don't fucking know. I don't know. I think I've been pretty good at convincing moderate capitalists to be okay with more socialism. But people that are dead set against socialism, older people even my age, who remember the Red Scare, that's a little harder.
Holy shit! How old are you? Red Scare?
Yeah, I'm 53.
You weren't alive for that.
I was alive for the Cold War. I mean,
Oh, okay,
when I was a very young kid, I had to hide under desks and shit like that. I remember the wall falling and shit like that. So
that's interesting. So, do you think there's a chance? You're that's why you're optimistic.
yeah, I am absolutely optimistic. I think that, and I have absolutely no problem promoting socialism. I think it's a wonderful thing. I don't think anybody should be scared of it. I don't think anybody should be scared to promote it in any way, shape, or form. I think even capitalists are going to be okay with it because it just means that poor people get more things. That's all it means.
Fair. I mean, I don't necessarily think so. I think by the time the midterms happen, I think the socialists kind of start to lose their voices a little bit. I think right now, Trump is just the most radically insane president we've ever had. So there's like an equally radical response to that. And I think it's really convenient for them because, you know, you get to win a lot of political points. You get to you have political capture. But I think by the time the midterms happen and, you know, you start to primary somebody for 2028, it'll be like John Ossoff or it'll be like Josh Shapiro. I don't think it will be a socialist. And I don't think that, you know, they'd be running on anything like incredibly.
Well, I'm fighting for AOC. And AOC and Bernie have been drawing crowds of 50,000 since Donald Trump won the election. So
you should make a bet. This is not sponsored. You should make a bet on Kelsey because she has really good odds right now.
Does she? I don't bet on shit like that. Generally,
I think you should be pragmatic and focus on the midterms, focus on more progressive candidates, proving that they can unseat an incumbent or even draw in some people that would traditionally vote Republican. And I do think that regardless if it's Bashir or one of the more moderate Democrats that wins the ticket, they're still going to be able to fill the House with more progressive DSA-sponsored Democrats, and you need the fucking House, and they'll be able to push the House in one direction over the other, right? Like, you're going to need their vote. I think that's the most important thing. When AOC and the quote-unquote squad started gaining momentum, they were always going to be outvoted. Always. Right? Any kind of internal disagreement that they would have with the other caucus Democrats and independents, they just lose. But if we get more and more progressive people, they can shift the party towards the left.
One thing I would like to see from people who are progressive is what Mamdani did. He's the only progressive person I've actually seen do this, where when you advertise that, like, oh, affordable healthcare, whatever shit that they advertise, like, their means to be able to do that, like, this is a bill that I'll propose in the House, and I think that through strategic messaging and whatever, we'll get most people to agree with it, and that will lead to this, and that will lead to this. Because I think running on certain things is kind of what everybody's doing. Even Republicans run on those exact same issues. So it's kind of like, which party do I believe? Like the red party that says affordable housing and food and groceries, or the blue party? But if there's no means to get there, I think it's just like pretty convenient for both of them to use the same messaging, and whoever's going to win.
Yeah, how are you going to get there?
I don't think so. I don't think. Okay, let me give an example. What the recent progressive who won the Colorado primary, I went through her page. I didn't see, like, I saw what issues she ran on in terms of like what she was specifically targeting, but there wasn't like what Mamdani published where he said like, free public transit, and he actually posted like what part of the budget was what it was gonna come out of, how they were gonna raise it, the particular struggle that they were gonna be in. I thought that was like uniquely something that he did that I appreciated. I don't think I've seen any Republicans do that either.
Yeah, but there's a difference between a mayor who can implement those things because of the mandate that a mayor has over a House seat. Right? There's only so
much to get through 434 other people too.
I agree. No, I fully agree. But then I don't think they should run on like, we will do this. It will be like, we need you to support this so that you can demand it from the rest of your elected representatives. I don't like kind of telling people we're going to do this. Like, we're going to do a $15 minimum wage. And then when it doesn't happen, like, people are like, what the fuck?
I agree with that sentiment. I agree with what you're saying there. I think messaging is probably bad. If you're saying you're going to do something that you're pretty sure you're not going to be able to do, that's probably a bad thing.
Any progressives you guys would put a bid in for?
It's funny that you bring up Colorado. I am from Colorado. I did work for Diana DeGette, who is the moderate Democrat that was unseated by the DSA supported member, and I also got to meet her when she came to the caucus that I was attending in Weld County. So I worked for one of them, and I got to meet the other one, and I'm happy that DeGette was unseated. She hasn't done a whole lot in the 27 years that she's been in Congress. So I don't know.
Yeah, when we get all of the old people out of office, we're cutting Social Security. I think that should be what people run on. Like, cut Social Security, you would get everybody's vote. You get everybody that matters vote.
There's always going to be people that need it.
No, fuck that. Their time clock has ran out. That's the only issue I'm very strong about. Like, every dollar spent on an old person is a dollar that could have gone to a young person.
I'm confused. First of all, the old people paid that fucking money in, so fuck off. Second of all, I'm sorry, you're not going to be able to sell your services for political betterment by saying we're just going to let all the old people die. That's never going to be a good message.
I have a better idea. If you want Social Security, you have to sell your house. You can't live in a house. You have to live in
That's not fucking freedom. What the fuck kind of world do you want to live in? Fuck you.
A place where like old people don't hold on to their homes until they're 95. So now like the housing fucking market is seized up.
What gives you the right to tell me that I can't own my own fucking home?
Dude, what gives you the right to hold on to your home for 90 years? And then
how about this? How about kids don't get to buy a house or even think about buying a house until they turn 40?
All right. Stop the pissing contest. You have a misunderstanding of the majority of our housing problem. It's not old people holding on to their fucking homes. It might be old people holding on to their second and third homes. I'll agree with you there. Mm-hmm. But if it's their primary residence, why the fuck are we kicking people out? Like,
leave my vacation properties alone too,
bro. They stop like housing from being built around them, so people developers have to go further and further away from where the jobs are and where the economic mobility is to build new housing, and that incredibly puts a premium on the new houses being built. If old people would just say, okay, fuck the like property value of my house, we could have houses built and like really dense communities, and we don't have to like have complete urban sprawl. So either you sell your house or you get fucked and put in a retirement home. I think that's such a reasonable option.
What about multimillionaires? What about 8 inches and thick?
What about 8 inches and thick?
I lost my wife 10 weeks ago. 21 years faithful. I lost my daughter 4 weeks ago.
I lost my daughter.
She committed suicide.
Sorry, I don't know that guy. That's kind of a wild proposition. How is this any more wild than saying like cut all corporations? That's
how do you not know that guy? You were like talking straight beside him.
That's a meme. That's a meme. That was like a guy who was really drunk at a bar, and like he was trying to talk to girls, and when they wouldn't talk to him, he's like, "What about 8 inches and thick? What about multimillionaire? What about my wife just died, and I'm at a bar, and my daughter committed suicide?" It was like a really funny thing. Building more housing doesn't make housing more affordable. There, even in places where they build housing, that doesn't mean that the new houses are just going to like now magically be $200,000 again.
Do you guys know what he's talking about with this fucking meme? What the fuck is that shit?
Okay, somebody in the comments has to know. There's no way I'm going to get...
I believe that it is. I mean, you guys both know it. Either that or, I don't know, your fucking roommates or something.
Climate leftist.
I'm just confused. That was fucking wild. I don't know why they would come up and then you would just like speak right beside them. That's fucking weird.
Yeah, it's just like a funny thing.
That doesn't even sound funny. What the fuck is that?
It was pretty funny. If you saw it, you would laugh. You know those videos where guys go to like places and like they try to talk to girls? So the girls rejected him, and then he just goes on like this like spiel about like my life is so hard. Sounds funnier. Like it.
Well, that sounds like every fucking Gen Z out there.
No. The guy was old. Don't put that on us.
No. But it sounds like every Gen Z I've ever talked to.
Fairs. Could somebody please negate what I've just been saying? I feel like I have no opposition.
Well, I'm just gonna call you disgusting and idiotic. There's absolutely no way that you're winning a fucking vote in this country by killing old people.
I didn't. That wasn't the. No, don't use the hyperbolic point. Use the actual point I made.
This is the actual point that you made. Fuck
no,
them.
The actual point.
They're going to be forced to sell their homes, or they're going to have to sell their homes, or they're going to be forced to sell their home, and they're going to be put in an old folks' home, and then we're going to take their Social Security away, so fuck them, they can't buy anything, and then we're going to take their health care away, so that they just fucking die, and we don't have to worry about them anymore.
Listen,
this is what you're saying. I'm sorry, you don't get to sell any kind of political ideology on that fucking nonsense.
Oh my God! I said if people aren't willing to either give up their homes or allow more property.
I understand what you said. It's fucking gross.
I think you're using like the extreme points and not hearing out like what I actually said. Like at the core, it's just like, let young people have more opportunities because boomers are ruining it for everybody.
You have plenty of opportunities.
I'm sure you believe that.
Grab your bootstraps, son.
Yeah, here's the thing. Retrace me. What you're getting at is that NIMBYism is becoming more and more of a problem. You can supersede NIMBYism by saying that yes, we will build multifamily units next to your fucking home if it's vacant, right? The problem is that we're not going to demolish existing neighborhoods with people that live in them. You can build multifamily units near neighborhoods. You can still do that, and many cities around North America are doing that. They have superseded that NIMBYism.
Oh, that's funny.
Hey guys. I wanted to show you the meme because he's not explaining it very well, so it's not going to be funny if like you don't.
All right.
So anyway, is there any way I can get the big screen real quick so I can just show you the meme?
I'm a little afraid right now.
It's nothing bad. Seriously, it's not going to get you banned or anything. He didn't understand the meme. This is YouTube. Okay. Anyway. So this is the meme. It takes place on the beach and not in the bar. But here's the context.
Y'all like bodybuilders?
Bodybuilders? I like skinny, scrawny guys.
How about multimillionaires? How about 8 inches and thick?
How about talented? How about loving and respectful? I lost my life 10 weeks ago. 21 years faithful. My daughter committed suicide 3 weeks ago. Oh, shit.
Oh,
13. She was faster than me at 12, and I run a 6-minute mile. My testimony, I'm nothing but pure, and I ask you if you want to be in the YouTube channel.
Wait, I thought this was at a bar.
No, but you see the girl at the end. Look. She's just fucking dancing. She don't give a fuck, you know. So,
What the fuck are y'all doing?
well, we're describing the 8 inches and thick meme.
That's not funny. I don't know what the fuck is funny about that.
Well, I mean, so it's cringy. That's the thing. Like, what are you doing at the beach? Like, walking up and telling these women, you're just trauma dumping on these women. So it's just like it's funny because what he's doing, it's just ridiculous, right? It's cringy. But then, like, if you were just like, could you imagine walking up to a woman and saying, like, "Hey, listen, I'm a multimillionaire and I got like an 8-inch penis." You know what I mean? It's just like that's not the way you start it off.
I got a fucking violation for letting you play that. That's fucking wild.
Really? That's crazy, man. This app is so stupid.
It's the video part. You could have played the audio. It's the video part that got used.
So that's a copyrighted video?
No, I don't. Well, maybe it's a copyrighted video. I don't know. TikTok is just being really strict about videos right now.
I hate TikTok.
It's not your fault.
That's why I stream on Twitch. I stream on Twitch and Facebook, and they're strict, but they're not so strict that you're gonna like cut my Facebook feed because I'm playing something on YouTube. Like that's insanity.
I'm streaming on YouTube as well, but as of right now, this is being streamed on YouTube too. But the problem is that YouTube and Twitch and they don't have the option of having 8 boxes open that people can just run by and jump up whenever they want. So the setup here on TikTok is perfect for debate panels, stuff like that. I don't know that I want to fuck around with that process yet, but I agree. Their AI is fucked right now.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah. I mean, I would love to talk about. I mean, I could talk politics if you guys are one. I mean, I wasn't sure what I heard the dude saying that like he wants to take old people's houses away. I don't think that's a good idea.
Yeah, you guys sent this like bodybuilder in here to threaten me. His agent, this like psyop. You don't frighten me, Julius. I still stand on my.
He's my handler, okay? Leave him alone.
I'm just a regular guy that goes to a gym, and that's a gym selfie, dude. Like, you know, when you're in the gym, you look really pumped up, but I don't normally walk around looking like that. So, I mean, I wish I could claim it, but it's just that's not the way it works.
And he's hiding in your closet, man. Be careful.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm under your bed right now, also with a jar of creatine. I'm gonna pour into your mouth like while you sleep.
Whoa!
That's a wild I'm gonna help you get these gains, buddy. I'm gonna help you get these gains.
I'm gonna force you to. I'm gonna force you to get the gains.
I'm gonna file a restraining order.
You can crawl under my bed anytime, Julius.
Yeah, I'll wear a mask.
Beautiful. Protection's key.
Yep, that's what the ladies tell me. So anyway, yeah, I don't think that we should be taking away like old people's homes. I think that if you wanted to incentivize people to like maybe give up their home, like when they get older, not give it up, but you know, like, hey, we'll give you like extra to sell your home if you feel like that's a way. But then again, it's like balancing budgets. So where does that money come from to do that?
If you give them extra, that gives them that makes the housing market elevated because houses sell for the relative market that other houses sell in. So if houses are selling for $500K in a neighborhood, that elevates the entire property value of houses near them. So fuck these people. They don't get more money because they paid 25 cents for their house in the 1960s, and now they get to retire.
No. I'm talking about a government subsidy. I'm talking about something that you got to get on your taxes at the end. It's nothing that your real estate agent's going to be able to advertise. Like you just know that, like, hey, I'm 65, I'm selling my home. Like it's not going to be listed. Like you're not going to go into the MLS and it's going to say like, hey, this home sold for like 65,000, but the owner like sold for 650,000, but the owner got like an extra 65,000 on his taxes or something like the next year as a rebate. You know, again, there's ways around it. I mean, I think we're smart. We're Americans. We can come up with things that, you know, plus we have AI to kind of help us nowadays. So I think anything's possible.
We don't need AI. I think the situation I proposed was really good, and nobody's been able to combat it.
No, it's not. Here's why. Because a lot of people who don't have 401ks and only have a balance of their Social Security and the equity in their home, by the time they want to retire or they're past retirement, they need that fucking equity. And now you're going to take that away from them. And now we have a poverty crisis for our elderly.
Okay, how about this? Every city in the U.S., every major city above 500,000 has to be like Houston with no property law, no property restrictions. So you can build and land develop anywhere and anywhere you want. So now, like the median homes could at least drop by like 100 to 300. So they can keep their homes.
That sounds like we end up with fucking Gas City in Mad Max. I don't like that idea either. What the fuck?
So what?
Yeah, I think that like maybe we just got to accept that some things are just going to be what they are, and some things aren't necessarily fair at the same time. Like, yes, there are people that bought their houses back in the 90s and early 2000s who got it for almost nothing, and their houses are worth like quadruple or quintuple what it is that they bought it for. We can't punish them for making like a smart decision at the time. It'd be why
do you want to punish corporations for making profit or punish rich people for making money, but you don't want to punish old? I don't get this like reserved sympathy that you guys have for certain demographics and not others. It's kind of weird.
Well, because a corporation isn't a person. A corporation is like a collection.
Actually, they are.
So you can spread the burden a little bit more. Throughout the corporation. But if I'm going to individually look at this person and say like, hey, you know what? We're not going to let you at your retirement age, like sell your home that you're banking on for like, you got to take $200,000 off like your home. And even though you were banking on that as part of your retirement, I'm sorry, but this person over here who's 25 needs a house. So that's unfair. But at the same time, if we look at the corporation who's like banking billions of dollars in profits per year, we can say like, yeah, you got like 20 billion last year. Let's see if we can knock 500 million off of that tax wise. And then you can spread that around your corporation. And then on top of that, we're going to put legislation in place to say that if you decide you're going to start firing people, we're going to tax you even further. And we're going to look at, and we're going to go so far as to look at any other country that you think you can move to. And we're going to tax you so much that it would actually make less sense for you to go to this other country while you're operating in this country. You're not going to be able to just jump out of this country with all this American money that you made and then turn around and then like hire a bunch of people and still operate in this country. It's not going to work that way. So
I think that sounds great. You're about like 30 years too late for anything like that to ever happen.
AI says I'm not 30 years too late. AI says I'm actually correct about it. Because I like to sit around asking it, like, what do you think about these plans? And it's like, yeah, that could possibly work. Yeah, that wouldn't work. This could work. I mean, if you want to just start asking questions, it'll be like, yeah, there's a possibility.
You're not really making a point.
This is the problem with young people. You guys talk to fucking AI more than you talk to human beings. That's a fucking problem.
Yeah. Also, your AI is literally trained to agree with you. You're talking to a thing designed to agree with you and saying, "Well, my AI agrees with me." I don't give a. My AI agrees with me, and I'm insane.
But my AI is never going to agree. My AI is never going to agree when I say 2 + 2 = 3. It's not.
You can literally make it agree to that.
I mean, you could. I could literally. No, I know what you're saying. I could literally tell like whatever AI assistant's like, hey, listen, I'm always right. 2 + 2 = 3, right? But at the same time, like, that would make me an idiot, and I'm not going to do that. I want to get the facts of the matters, right? So what I'm asking is like, hey, how could something like this work? And legitimately, if I go into Grok right now, like, you can do this with any Grok or any type of AI. You can say in the background, like, hey, try and solve a black hole singularity for me. Okay, it's not going to be able to do it. It's going to tell you like every single time with every prompt, whatever you ask, that it can't be solved because like you need like different types of physics and dark matter and things like that. There's like some things just are facts. Like you can't. It's not just. Don't trick yourself into thinking that AI is just going to like agree with everything you say. It won't even agree with like half the things you say if it doesn't make sense. You can tell it to agree, but it's also going to give you the caveat by saying like you told me to agree to this. Like it's not. It doesn't work the way you think it works.
That's just a skill issue. I make my AI bend to my will.
Okay. I mean, you make love to your AI also?
You fucking kids eating the goddamn microphones. What the fuck?
Oh, shit. Sorry.
I'm sorry. Not me.
Yeah, you were eating just a sec ago.
Okay, I was eating. See, you're so smart. Like, I'm so sorry, host. Like, I'm an idiot. I was eating too.
Wait, no. I have autism. They tell me. I'm told that I have autism, I guess, and that drives me crazy to listen to people munching on food. Anyway,
it's shrimp salad. I mean, shrimp salad, by the way.
I don't.
Like carrots.
I don't care what it is.
We're not allowed to talk about meat on this panel either. Also,
it's vegan shrimp.
Julius, I have a question for you. Hi, guys. Do you have like a companion friend, like on your Grok or whatever you use?
No,
Like somebody
no.
that you regularly talk to and just have like a companion sort of thing situation?
What the fuck? That exists?
No.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I know what you're talking about. Like, yeah, like the little fox puppet guy, or like these other dudes.
No. A lot of young people like have actual sort of virtual looking animated, yes, but sort of human looking friends that they're their friends and they talk to, and usually it's like one, and they share everything. I was just wondering if you were one of those people.
No. I'm a 30. I'm a middle-aged man. I'm 39 years old.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm not doing that kind of stuff. I'm using it to learn how to make like better mojitos and fucking talk to people on TikTok and shit. You know, it's not like a trend.
Yeah, I gotcha. Oh, I mean, AI does some pretty amazing things. I mean, I planted a garden using a plan that I got from AI, so ChatGPT. So I'm not. It does some amazing things, but it needs to be regulated, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, because a lot of stupid people can like use it, and then like they're just confirming their idiocy or whatever. Like, I mean, like they could tell their AI to like, hey, I want you to agree with me, and then like it's gonna start saying all these conspiracy theories, and yeah, no, I mean, like everything sucks, but if it makes you guys feel any better, we are in fact running out of oil. The president of the United States and all his intelligence and being bigly smart, he did confirm that oil reserves are very low, and Saudi Arabia is being allowed to get their nuclear program because they themselves have admitted that they're going to run out of oil in like the next 30 years. So
he's also running for a fourth term.
Was that a joke?
He's not. Well,
that was at the correspondence thing.
First of all, he's only got 2 terms under his belt. He doesn't even have that yet. So it would be a 3rd term, not a 4th term. Second of all, he's not fucking doing that. I agree with Donovan when he says that it means that one of the other Trumps is running, or maybe a couple of the other.
Run vice president. Well, try and run as vice president. Oh shit!
I have $1 million on Marco Rubio, who's willing to take me up on it.
Marco Rubio wants to send homegrown citizens to CCOT in El Salvador.
I want Marco Rubio and Donald Trump to stand next to each other because I want to know how tall Donald Trump actually is, and he's making it very hard. He keeps saying he's 6'5", but then I see him stand.
He's like 6'4". I met him in Houston. I'll show you a picture. I have one. Can I get big screen?
No.
You guys don't want to see a picture?
No.
Of Donald
Trump? Because I'm afraid you're going to show your ding dong, dude. Honestly.
What the fuck have I said thus far to lead you to believe I would do that?
Stop eating on the fucking microphone. What is wrong with you people?
Sorry.
Dude, listen, it's a Saturday afternoon. Kids. I mean, like, come on, dude.
Fucking animals. You're all fucking animals, I swear to God.
Hey, somebody called me a dirty animal the other day. It hurt my feelings.
I think he's really tall. But I think he clearly fabricates about his his physique and his weight and stuff like that.
Tennis, how tall are you?
Only 5'5". How about you?
I'm 5'10".
Yeah,
but
my son got 6'1".
I thought maybe you'd be shorter, and I was just gonna say that everybody's taller than you.
Yeah, yeah. My son got the height. He's 6'1", so I didn't get the height, but I'm not particularly short either, so I'm happy.
Blossom.
Hiya.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Happy Saturday.
I know. I need a Saturday.
Crazy kids who just want me to die.
Retrace me up there wants to make poor people poor.
Oh, hey, Civics.
Oh.
Mojo, did I fall asleep on your panel last night? I know I wasn't mic'd. I mean, I was muted if I did. Yeah. I think I did. It's late here when you go out, and I just want to listen, and then I fall asleep.
You're not the only one that does that.
Yeah,
Messi
but
does it. HR does it. Yeah.
at least I don't snore.
I was asleep a few minutes ago until somebody started talking about 8 inches.
But you woke up to 8 inches and thick? Is that what you woke up to, really? Wow.
Did you guys hear? I'm sorry, I'm going serious again. Did you read about the judge and then the reporters of the New York Times and how that all came down? It was kind of detailed, the oral argument about that, and how the guy who's testifying before the Senate committee for the national intelligence head, he was like signed off on the subpoenas. And so this guy Buckley, who is one of the lead prosecutors on that New York Times reporter's case, really was called to the carpet by this judge and how they issued those subpoenas, et cetera. And then they, it's just another sort of Taco Tuesday back down. They withdrew the subpoenas. Just thought it was interesting. But the judge was all over it. He's like, what the hell is this? Like, where did you get the probable cause in a sense? They do something else called, it's called what is it called? They have to, when they do, if an agency thinks that their security has been breached, has been leaked, they have to fill out a certain document, which they never did. And I forget what it's called, damn it. It was listed in the article I read. Anyway, they didn't do that. They just issued subpoenas for text messages of the family members and the reporters, chilling free speech.
Yeah, I think a lot of what they're doing right now is only an attempt to chill free speech. They just want to make sure people aren't talking, because if you're talking or if you say something bad, then we're going to pretend like we're coming after you and we're going to make you look bad, even though we can't fucking do anything to you.
But they can do something. They can bankrupt them. If they come after you.
If they really want to push it, I guess they could do that.
That's what I was going to say. I mean, the thing is like just the prospect of needing to go through legal action to sort of be absolved of whatever the full force of the federal government is putting against you. I mean, that's enough.
Yeah, it's onerous.
Right. Like we see these people who are very high profile, like James Comey or Letitia James or, Monica McIver. I mean, whether or not they're as well resourced as, I don't know, like an Elon Musk is a conversation, but at least they have the political structure behind them to fund their legal defense. But then you see like the Prairie Land people who I think, and the people out, there was another group out in Pacific Northwest, I think maybe Portland, who also faced very severe charges that are chilling speech, but because they're regular people, they didn't have the same sophistication and ability to defend on the national news stage and in court.
Yeah, the New York Times hired the attorneys for these reporters, so they were backed. But yeah, if you're just anybody, who reports on something and you need to move to quash a subpoena, you have to hire an attorney. And it's expensive, and you have to go to court, and
The Prairie Land thing is definitely scary as fuck. I mean, it's scary to think that when anybody looks at that case at face value, they're like, these people aren't going to jail. They're not. This is idiotic. And next thing you know, you got people that are getting 70 and 100 years in jail. That's just wild, and that is pretty scary.
Yeah.
I even hear it now a little bit in conservative lives where they're like, oh, well, don't go in that group or don't talk to that person because I know they're being monitored or whatever, which who knows if they actually know any of that, if that's real. But does that not make you think twice, even on a platform where you can be anonymous about saying something? in this world, in this country, and with this political environment?
It takes a lot to be anonymous, even on TikTok. You obviously can't pull out money because you have to give information to be able to pull out money. And you can't put any pictures on that you have used anywhere else at all for any reason, because they could always backtrace the pictures too. So in order to be completely anonymous on these sites, you have to be super careful with every action you take.
True.
What is prayer? Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm trying to look up what you guys were talking about.
How are you still fucking eating?
I'm not eating. What the fuck? I was drinking.
Stop that too.
Fuck.
All right.
I've been eating for like a half hour. What the fuck is going on?
Dude, because every time I want to talk, I have to stop eating.
How that works.
No, usually you can just talk and eat because guys don't have.
If you were sitting at a table, would you be eating and talking at the same time with the other
How do
people
you
at the
ever
table?
have lunch with your coworkers if you don't eat and talk at the same time?
You take a bite, you chew it, you swallow it, and then you speak. Right?
Get with the times, lady. We don't do that anymore. Anyways, I'm joking.
That's what's so fucking annoying. I fucking hate you kids.
Just answer. What is the?
Dennis, he wants to take you home.
Okay, I wanted to look it up, and you guys aren't telling what it is.
Prairie Land. Go ahead.
Well, I didn't know which one you were. Prairie Land is in Texas. It was a group of protesters who, at least one, did engage in something I would term violent, but they shot a police officer in the course of their protest, and they were all put in jail, sentenced to 30, 50, 80, 100-year sentences, intentionally elevating their crimes to schmeristic, I believe, and then also making their sentences consecutive. The journalist subpoenas was in relation to a report, an article the New York Times did on the Qatari plane that Trump had received, and it's suggesting its security and defense is not sufficient for the president, like no anti-missile, for example. The reporters for that were subpoenaed by the federal government, I think suggesting that they, got that information unlawfully and compromised national security, but the government has been rebuked by the courts for doing that.
Okay, I looked up the Prairie Land thing, by the way, and because we were talking about this last night, and I don't think that we don't have domestic terrorism laws in this country. I don't think they were charged under terrorism. They utilized that term over and over and over again, but there were no charges that were directly called anything that had to do with terrorism. They just got maximum sentences, and they did run them back to back. So I think they're trying to conflate the two things to try and make it scarier, but I don't think they were actually convicted of anything terroristic.
I think they use it in an effort to justify the maximum sentences. Like, I would agree, there really isn't. They're trying to, through the federal government and that NSPM 7, that they're trying to install, I think, it's hard to say, like some framework for elevating punishment of crimes in the context of it being termed domestic schmerism. But yeah, I would agree. I don't think there's actually a real statutory crime for that.
Was that a Cybertruck next to you?
Those are quiet.
Mm-hmm. What is the status of that case? I mean, how did they get to trial so fast on that case? And I mean, I would imagine that these defendants are appealing. I haven't done a deep dive into this one. I mean,
all I know is I'm not carrying any pamphlets anywhere for anybody anytime soon.
No kidding.
Wait, are you guys scared to be socialists now? Because you're probably going to go to jail.
What?
I mean,
do I look like I'm scared?
There's going to be a lot of people in jail for no fucking reason if you think that that's going to be a thing.
Do you think
What
it
do you
should be or something?
I don't know. Kind of mixed feelings about it.
So if you have socialist views, you should be prosecuted? Is that what you're saying?
I think Mojo's cool. I don't think all of them are cool.
Them?
What does that mean?
All those
All of
damn
the socialists.
commies.
Hey,
all the damn commies.
Wait, he
Yeah,
voted
here's-
third. He voted third party. Who did you vote for? Cornel West,
No.
Jill
Chase Oliver.
Stein. Who?
Chase Oliver.
Chase Oliver.
What state are you from? Just curious.
Texas.
Texas? Gotcha.
So here's the easiest thing, and here's why your line of reasoning is fucking stupid. And you can do it on your own. You can do this whole social experiment on your own. Scroll through lives, and as soon as you see a hammer and sickle, say, why do you Mondami lovers exist? And then you'll see that they're not.
They're not what?
What I mean by that is that there is so much disagreement by those on the left, and you're trying to classify them as some kind of monolith, and they're not. So it's extremely dangerous
never
to
said they
say,
were a
I think we
monolith.
should jail them.
I don't think there are like any monolithic political ideology. That's why I think it's stupid to label yourself. I think labels, because they don't tell you much about what that person believes. But I do think
if somebody labels themselves as schmaltzy, I know what they believe. I don't need to
fair.
into it.
I think it gives you a shorthand, but like, for example, and don't think I'm trying to sympathize with them, but there could be a Nazi that like supports universal health care, but like the label of Nazi would just associate with like, okay, this person doesn't like Jewish people. What I'm saying is like I think the labels are a good shorthand just to get a general consensus of like who that person sympathizes for, or where her sympathies lie. But I think for the most part, you should explore somebody's politics before you get to like any like, comprehensive conclusions. But I think if you're a Marxist or if you're a fascist, like it's just pretty open and shut. Like you hate the country, and I don't know. Jail might not be the
Tell me
word
the
option.
difference between a fascist and a communist.
The differences, or differences, I would say, fascists are more totalitarian historically. Marxists are usually they execute their authoritarianism through like a wielded party. So like in Mao, like Great Leap Forward, it was like the entire communist organization, and in like the Soviet Union, it was like the Vanguard Party. So that's what they used to like suppress like political adversaries. In fascism, it's usually like top-down structure, more hierarchical. Other than that, they pretty much agree on like seizing the productive means of a country, making sure that private businesses and private enterprise doesn't exist, full state control, usually target minority groups or majority groups in Italy's case. But yeah, pretty much similar on everything else.
Everything else.
Yeah, pretty much.
No.
They're both anti-Semitic. They're both
no, they're not.
Yes, they are.
How are communists anti-Semitic?
Like Stalin had the pogroms, and before that, in 1917, they had the entire like targeting of Jewish.
You heard the white supremacist dude come up and say that it was a Jewish agenda that Marx had. Because Marx was Jewish.
Marx was anti-Semitic too. What the fuck?
Yeah, you heard that guy come up here and say that, right?
Yeah, I did, but I engage with him the same way I would engage with you guys. Like, you guys are just both extremists that have been radicalized.
They're not also like in the early days of communist thinking, Jewish communities that were heavily involved with that,
There still are. The kibbutzes that actually exist in Israel are probably the closest thing to socialism that we have left.
Marx himself was a he would be classified as an anti-Semite, and there are a lot of Jewish organizations that do classify him as an anti-Semite.
Wait, I'm not disagreeing with that, but I also know that Walt Disney was an anti-Semite, and yet we can still recognize that like the genesis of much of the the Walt Disney, lore and their, everything in their portfolio, it came from a man who was like that, but can still be enjoyed today, separate from the artist, separate from the man, and outside the context of his beliefs. So
I agree. I still listen. I still listen to Kanye, so I get what you're saying. I drive a Ford, so I get what you're saying. I'm just saying, like, historically, these things, there have been patterns with communists and fascists alike choosing to isolate a specific group and point all of like their political failures on that group. This isn't happening.
Is that not a representation of communism? Well, actually, because I wouldn't agree necessarily, but could we not just say this is what authoritarians do? And when communistic governments err on the side of authoritarian, that's where we start to see that behavior come into play?
No, because that presupposes that you could get to a communist or Marxist or socialist philosophy without being authoritarian. I think the only way to get to a point where you quote unquote steal the means of production or, seize the means of production or whatever it is through authoritative means. It's not going to be like through contract law and like through litigation. It's going to be like...
Hold on, I just explained to you that that's not true.
Yeah, but you're like the only Marxist no offense, you're the only person who believes this. Let's be honest.
That's true. That's not true at all, because there's a clear division between tankies, not to be rude, and reformists.
That moniker, they like being called tankies.
Yeah,
and the DSA is absolutely trying to utilize the system to change the system as well, and that's an entire organization that has been in existence for 40 years. So,
fair enough. Would you say that the AFD is also reasonable?
I don't know what the fuck that is.
Oh fuck! Come on, dude.
What is the AFD?
Does
anybody know?
No.
Are you guys fucking with me?
Just tell us then.
Okay, sorry. It's because every time I get they're like the semi far right, relatively far right group that's gaining a lot of political capture in Germany right now.
What does it stand for?
I don't know. It's like some German nonsense.
So we should have known that.
Wait, is this the one that Elon Musk went
Yeah, Elon literally. Yeah, he literally funded like all of their campaigns.
Okay,
So
I know who you're talking about now.
So it's the far right party in Germany. Gotcha.
Yeah, but they're trying to achieve their. Well, I mean, Hitler did too, but like they're trying to achieve their end goals through electoralism too. So it's not like they're doing it through like being authoritarians, but like that's what the DSA is to me as well. Alternative for Dutchland. Is that what the is that what that stands for? It's just nonsense. They speak such a nonsense language.
You sound like you're trying to speak Chinese or something when you do that. What the fuck?
No. I think the Chinese are pretty cool. I'm going to learn Mandarin one day.
So you think that the DSA, you think that people who support social policies are bad? Like you think they should be okay. Okay, so do you think
Tennis, I wasn't lying when I said he wants to take your home away. Like that wasn't a joke. I wasn't being
That was a troll, dude. Relax.
He literally said old people we should take their homes.
Okay, so you further think that anybody who just has a belief in something or has an idea about something, that if it doesn't conform to whoever you conform to should be. So you don't. In other words, you don't believe in free speech. Is that what you're saying?
I absolutely believe in free speech. I think the way free speech has been exhausted has been typically like relatively non-hateful or threat what is it, enticing threats. A lot of, even if you guys don't agree with the sentiment, a lot of communist groups in the US today do make like outwardly violent remarks on what they plan to do, how they plan to get to their end goals.
And what are those? Can you give us some examples, please?
We're gonna eat Elon Musk. We're gonna take all of his capital. We're gonna take all of his productive means. We're gonna go to every town and
Who said that and when?
This is just what communists believe. I don't know.
No, you're saying it without any proof, right? That's what you're doing.
You want proof that you
made some statements, and I just want you to back them up.
Okay, so I don't know if I can give you like a
you
like
can't
a research
because
paper.
You said that people believe this stuff, right? You're generalizing.
People do believe it.
Well, okay, let me use particular parties. PSL, ACP, CPUSA. These are three distinct communist political organizations, and they all three have different political ideologies, but all of them end in a violent revolution that requires the people rising against the government and fighting against the government and taking like control of the economy.
Okay,
These are
so
three isolated.
do you believe in the Bill of Rights, generally speaking?
Yes.
Okay, and the Fourth Amendment is part of the Bill of Rights. You understand that?
Yes.
Okay, so unless somebody
honor your father and mother.
No. So unless you're not serious, unless somebody actually commits a crime and that there's probable cause that they committed that crime, they should not be prosecuted. Do you agree with that or not?
Yes, but if you say like I'm going to take over the government, I think that's probable cause enough. If you're organizing to take over,
it actually isn't. That's free speech.
Really? You
Sorry,
want to arrest
go ahead,
people?
Mojo. You take over.
Wait, hold on. I don't want to take over. I just want to ask.
He wants to take over like the communist.
You believe?
No, I'm just saying, like this is ridiculous.
Josh. So you believe that just saying something means that you should be thrown in jail? Are you serious?
So you're gonna say I should be in jail for thinking we should like do a boomicide?
You're the one who's saying that I should be in jail.
I don't think you should be in. Dude, I think there's a difference between like, you know, a communist guy on TikTok like trying to, you know, propagandize people versus like these groups actually meeting and strategizing and like, you know, reading the Jakarta method because they think they're fucking like going against the U.S. military. Like I think it's
what's wrong with the Jakarta method?
It's have
you tragedy. Read it? Have you read it?
Have you read it? I read it like in middle school. High school.
How fucking young are you?
Pretty young, 21.
Oh, well, that's why. Okay, buddy, travel to more than 4 states and then come back.
I've been in more than 4 states. I'm in Ohio right now. I've been to Maine. I've been to Texas, Ohio, Florida.
And then
have you been outside the country?
Yeah.
Where? Outside of your mommy's cruise ship.
A lot of wow, really? What do you have against my mommy?
Nothing. I just know that she paid for your cruise ship. That's not traveling.
She has paid for my cruise because she loves me. Does your mom love you?
Oh. Yeah, she made me work for the shit that I have.
Well, so do I. Anyways, I've been to Brussels. I've been to Istanbul in Turkey.
Istanbul.
Oh, okay.
I call it Istanbul. It's such an easy, it's such an easy way to say it. I don't know why they make their name so hard.
But that's not the name of it.
Yeah, it's called
Istanbul.
It's called accents. It's called accents. You can learn about accents when you get to high school.
I've never heard anybody pronounce Istanbul.
Well, anyway. I've heard people pronounce it when they're.
Well, Tennis, you need to get out of your little bubble in suburbia. Other people exist.
Dude.
I know, I'm being disrespectful. And I've been to Seoul, South Korea. My friend is stationed there.
Okay.
So, you know, I'm a man of the world.
So somebody says that, you know, the Haitian neighbors are eating the cats and dogs. That's pretty, you know. That's inciting.
I know.
Is that inciting speech, would you say? That maybe the government should look at and sort of curtail and maybe investigate and perhaps arrest? I mean, people say all kinds of vicious propagandizing things, don't they?
Wait, okay. Let me turn this a little bit.
Can you answer that question?
I'll answer your question, and then I want to answer with another question.
Okay, what's your answer?
I got you. Relax, Tennis. I do think that getting on one of the biggest stages in the world and saying that does lead to people getting harmed, and I do think that there was like an uptick in like people doing hate crimes against Haitians. So to some extent, to be consistent with what I believe, I do think that like speech like that should be like either mitigated, so like find ways that you aren't able to say that, or prosecuted. So if you believe that he should be I do believe he should be prosecuted for that. Let me not say if you believe, I do. And hold on, let me finish before you unmute. But do you think that like people who are in like Patriot Front or like Unite the Right, or people who are in any sort of fascist organization who do have plans on their website to like collectivized, or making their groups grow in size and everything, so they can eventually build their own communities and take the government, right? That's exactly what they believe in, and that's why they do these demonstrations in every big city. Do you think these people should have anything done to them? And if you don't, I want to know why.
I don't, because they have to act on it. You can say in this country, free speech is not absolute. So we all know the very jaded, you can't yell fire in a crowded theater, right? But people can say they want to do this. They desire a different government. They can speak out against the government. If they act, if they do something that shows that they are moving towards that, then perhaps there's indicia of a crime. But no otherwise, I say no.
So what happened?
I don't think they should be prosecuted.
Okay, what happened? Wait, because these people have been prosecuted and they're on FBI watch lists, just in case you wanted to know.
That's exactly. FBI, they can watch them. They can watch them. They can be watched.
How is watching them not a violation of the Fourth Amendment?
Well, if you as a detective, okay, or a police department think that there is suspicion of a crime that could occur, you're going to investigate it, and you're going to try to prevent a crime from happening. But you can't go making arrests without probable cause. So, in other words, said groups that you discussed earlier, if their messaging is, we want this, we want the government to be changed, you can't prosecute them for that.
Okay, I agree.
That's part of that. That would be a violation of the First Amendment.
Okay, I agree. Let me concede then. But I also think that every other person who sympathizes or has any sympathies for like Marxist or socialist like tendencies should also be on FBI watch lists. And a lot of them are. And the FBI is now like targeting Antifa and shit, people like that. So you shouldn't see a problem with this, correct?
Until somebody acts violently to overthrow the government, I don't have a problem with their speaking out against government.
No, I'm saying you have a problem with the FBI putting these people on watch lists and making sure that they're being monitored and all of their organizations.
I think it would depend on what the watch list means.
The watch list means we're watching.
It means that. Yeah, what does that mean?
It means that they're monitoring your actions. They're typically like they might get subpoenas on like some of your leaders. They usually infiltrate. So like in the case of like the Black Panther Party, they'll like infiltrate your organization with their own members, and they'll just make sure that they can.
All of that is legal.
But to have
a subpoena,
subpoena requires something.
Yeah, you have to have indicia of a crime.
I agree, but
you have to go to it.
But still, if they can get subpoenas, then they've passed the test of being able to get subpoenas.
Right.
Everything that he mentioned is perfectly legal and constitutional.
As long as they can go before a judge and get a subpoena signed.
That's what he said. Right. Yes, he said get subpoenas.
I disagree, actually. I'm a little bit more progressive on this, but I think that many of the bases we have post 9/11 to monitor Americans are, in my opinion, unconstitutional, or at least not justified infringements of people's privacy rights.
Okay, I think the Supreme Court has told us that we don't have the right to privacy. That being said, if you can get a court to agree to it, then it's absolutely constitutional.
Except that we just saw the subpoenas issued to the New York Times are probably unlawful, and
they were dropped.
They were withdrawn. They were withdrawn, but they were first issued. They were issued initially, and then they had to go to court. So, I mean, I wouldn't say that a carte blanche statement that just because you were able to obtain a subpoena or even a search warrant means that you had lawful reason to do so.
Wait, I thought they were dropped before they were fought in court.
No, they were issued, they were served on the individuals. And
Wait, they told the individuals that they were going to be, that they had to give this information over?
No, they served them with a piece of paper, which was an actual subpoena. They had to serve that paper on them personally. So they're served with these subpoenas, and then they were forced to go to an attorney to move to quash it. Okay, but in order for a prosecutor to issue a subpoena, they have to attest, they have to affirm as an attorney, which, all attorneys are sworn to uphold the Constitution,
Okay,
right?
yeah, you don't have to add that other stuff in there.
But I'm just saying that they had to sign something themselves to show that they had reasonable suspicion to sign a subpoena and have it served.
Okay, so
Okay.
if they were served a subpoena and they just said "fuck you, I ain't doing it," it would still have to be brought to court to enforce it, right?
Yeah, they would move for contempt. The government would move for contempt.
And then a court would tell them to fuck off at that point. They wouldn't have to go get lawyers. They could just let the state do it, and then they can fight it when the state does it.
Well, I would get an attorney. If I were served a subpoena, I would get an attorney.
That's you. I'm just asking you if that's necessary. I don't even think that's necessary in the process. If they're that ridiculous, you can just tell them to fuck off, and if they try and push the issue, it's still going to end up in front of a court.
That presumes that the courts are also independent, which I would suggest they aren't always. But even if they were, right, prior to this administration's changes to the Department of Homeland Security and immigration courts, like Article 2, there was still a heavy bias towards, declining or rejecting applications for various forms of legal immigration status. And you saw that when somebody had access to an attorney, which they are not afforded as an undocumented immigrant, that's something they have to do on their own, that they had a higher rate of success. So yeah, maybe you could succeed simply relying on the court's ability. But I think that having an attorney is something that we have codified into our Constitution as a right in many instances, because it is an important part of achieving due process.
Could you get a court-appointed attorney for a subpoena?
No, I don't think so. If you're being prosecuted for a crime and they've arrested you, that's when you have a right to an attorney.
Yeah. I mean, I know generally speaking what it's for, but a subpoena would be I guess that's pre-prosecution. Okay. I don't know. My instantaneous reaction is just to tell them to fuck off. However, I guess my example would be like the RAA sending me a cease and desist or whatever, saying that if I don't pay them a certain amount of money for the movie that I stole, then they're going to take me to court. And they asked for a response. I went and copied and pasted like 182 pages of crap and sent it to them. I never heard from them again. I think that all they were trying to do was scare me. But I don't know. I think that's something you can handle on your own too.
Well, a cease and desist is, I think, typically just handled between private parties, at least on an initial basis. Like usually a cease and desist is like a letter from your attorney or maybe you personally citing various actions you've taken that they would intend to sue on or pursue charges for. Like, hey, if you keep doing this, we're going to pursue legal action. So we're letting you know now to stop. And that's where,
Okay. Maybe it wasn't a cease and desist then. Maybe I used the wrong term there. But I mean, either way, they said they were going to sue me if I didn't give them a certain amount of money for the movie that I stole.
Yeah, that's a threat. That's
off the 21-year-old.
Sorry, Civics.
You ran off the 21-year-old who wanted to take everyone's homes.
Jeez.
Well, I don't. I'm just. I'm surprised. Blossom being the Democrat, the capitalist that she is, that she would be absolutely against the court system and the Constitution.
That's not what I said. I think that there are some inherently unconstitutional practices that we have allowed to infringe on our rights in the name of national security. And I think that that has gone far and above, and we're very accepting of that because we were in a space from a societal perspective post 9/11 that we felt that was necessary to ensure an event like that would not happen again. And I think that that has allowed the government to leverage this excuse of national security as almost just a indiscriminate tool to hack away at our constitutionally protected rights. So, like, to me, right, just the function of surveilling somebody for their political beliefs, I think that is a problem. I think it is maybe fine I haven't thought too much about it for a private entity like an SPLC to consider doing that in order to, identify people who may be dangerous or looking to do something dangerous. Do I think that the government should have the ability to put people on a surveillance list simply because they've espoused frustration with the government or frustration with capitalism? That's a problem to me.
I just think
speech, which is what we were trying to tell him.
I just think that being put on a list is not that big of a deal. There are a lot of ways you can surveil somebody that is absolutely legal and constitutional, like sitting in front of their house watching for them to leave. If somebody's taking part in a bunch of protests and you figure out that they're part of a group and that's where they're getting their protest information from and that's where they're sharing information, you are absolutely in your right as an individual or as a government to join that group and see where they're going to be protesting next.
I mean, why? Why do they get
what?
to surveil me for protesting?
Because I could do it as an individual citizen. So if
But
I
you're
can
not
do
the
it, why can't
government.
they do it?
You're not the government, and I would contend
Yep.
you probably can't do that, but the government is a different thing than a private person. A private person is not bound by the same obligations to respect citizens' rights. That's the entirety of the first 10 amendments, is meant to bind or restrict the government from overextending itself into people's private lives and their human rights.
Do we really have a right to privacy after Dobbs?
Well, I don't agree with
have a right to
Dobbs.
privacy?
I don't agree with Dobbs, and I think that it's been severely infringed upon, but certainly we still respect that you can't search my home with no reason.
Sure.
You
And
can't
they're not doing
electronically monitor somebody without probable cause.
Not a phone tap is what you're talking about. Electronic monitoring is different, I guess, right?
There's different forms of it.
Sure, you as an individual or a company or anybody else could intercept waves going through the air and figure out where those waves are coming from and surveil in that way. I don't know that that's against the law. You can use that to capture Fox News if you don't have cable or internet.
If the government is specifically targeting an individual using electronic monitoring of whatever sort, I'm not technically, there's case law on it. There's case law on the government electronically monitoring individuals without probable cause.
I'm just not
You need
sure.
you need a warrant for that.
I understand the warrant thing, but I'm not sure that we necessarily have a right to privacy in this country. I don't know that the right to privacy we have ever intended to have a complete right to privacy. I understand that you should be secure in your persons and papers. I understand that your home is sacrosanct, but once you get outside of your home, once you get into public spaces, you have no right to privacy anymore.
On your person, you do. You do on your person.
Yeah.
So
well, yeah, somebody can't just come by and tell you to empty your pockets. Sure.
Right.
But,
so
yeah,
what
Yeah, your persons and your papers. That's what I said. That's in the Constitution. But if you're walking down the street, people can take pictures of you. They can video you.
I think we're talking about degrees, right, Mojo? Like, what I'm referring to with like the national security, like the Patriot Act, etc. Like, it's the same idea of how protected is this right? Because at every level, there is always a reason that the government may be able to pose to the courts to say, I have a right to infringe on this. That's why we have restrictions on 2A. They just have to meet a very, very high standard to do that, which is strict scrutiny. So, in my opinion, I think that we should have a degree greater privacy respected constitutionally in this country than what it is currently today. I would agree with you that there absolutely has always been a compelling interest for government agencies or actors to have some way to pull back that veil for, the national welfare and the security of people. I disagree with how far they've taken that excuse.
Yeah, I can understand that you don't like it. I get that it seems intrusive, but I don't know that it's unconstitutional.
Well, that's the question, right? Like, unconstitutional at this stage of the game with this court, it's made up, in my opinion. Like, it is purely a partisan answer almost every time we get a constitutional question before the court. And it's largely because they use originalism and textualism as a facade for cherry picking what they want to have happen on the basis of like random historical facts. Whether or not you can use the Magna Carta under the Dobbs decision, but then under what was the latest one, under the Calais decision, right, talking about voting rights, or maybe it was birthright citizenship. One of them, they referred to English common law, and that being not a good basis to understand how American society operates. I mean, this court and what is constitutional or unconstitutional, it seems to go as a leaf in the wind. So I just personally believe that it is not within the nature or the spirit of what the founding fathers wanted, that we can be put on lists and surveilled simply because of our political beliefs and our free speech actions.
Well, they did. That's why they wrote the Federalist and Anti-Federalist papers under pseudonyms, because they knew that the government had that capability and right to surveil.
Which government?
Ours.
I mean,
after the Revolutionary War, but before the Constitution was passed, they understand that was going to happen. And even after that, they were still using pseudonyms.
I mean, I think that they wrote the Constitution and espoused what they did in both sets of papers in the interest of preventing people from needing to write under pseudonyms. Like, I mean, we can disagree, right? I don't believe that at any point in this history, the spirit of what we want this nation to be was to include that the government could overextend itself into people's private lives simply because they disagreed with it.
I guess that's become a different thing altogether as to what that even defines with the invention of the internet and HD signals over the airwaves and shit like that, because this stuff obviously didn't exist before. So now we have to interpret a document written when the printing press was not even readily available to everybody, to a time where everybody has a supercomputer in their hand.
Sure. I mean, that's one of the constraining elements of textualism and originalism, right?
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. I sign the terms of service without reading it. I always do. I always have. I don't really care. If they're going to come after me, they're going to come after me no matter what I say or do online anyway. They're going to decide I'm guilty or not guilty based on whatever they feel, not what I've said. So it's never really bothered me to think that somebody might be surveilling me. I'm never worried about black helicopters or anything like that. I don't have that kind of paranoia. So it just doesn't bother me to be put on a list. I actually think it'd be kind of cool to be on some lists.
Well, I don't know that I was ever scared until now, and I've never really been concerned, with the exception of people trying to use that government capability through their own private actions against you. Like the fact that, and here's where the frustration with capitalism, I think, kind of comes to an apex, right? The function of me being able to talk about my personal political beliefs on an app in a private, somewhat anonymized way, and still be worried that somehow somebody might go to my job and say she said that and get me fired and rip my livelihood out from under me. Now, that's a problem to me. I mean, the government should be protecting us from that, and yet it's the threat that we've said something here that could ruin their reputation or something that can put my ability to survive at risk, right?
I don't know. Survive. I don't know what you mean by survive. You're gonna survive either way. They're not killing you. They're not coming to your house and, you know.
They are. I mean, swatting's a problem. Go ahead, Civics.
Absolutely could, right? Crazy assholes have access to certain things, and they'll be like, "Where do you live? All right, bet." Like people are fucking stupid on here. They get so triggered.
Or the way that they're
assholes, but not the government.
No, the government, Mojo. How many times was that one cop searching his ex-wife on flock camera data? And that's not
the government. That's not the government.
The government.
That's some crazy,
a police officer using his official access.
Dude. Yeah, it's some crazy dude using things incorrectly and against the law.
Okay, but again, like, that's not some crazy dude. It's happening over and over and over again. Like, and whether or not you want to acknowledge that he's a government official, like, he would not have access to that information, that resource, without being deputized by the government to do so. That's a problem.
Yeah, maybe they need to watch their monitoring stuff a little more diligently than they do right now. That may be the case, but that's not the actions of a government. That's the actions of a runaway person within the government, and that person should absolutely go to jail. But that doesn't indict the entire government for the actions that they are doing. I don't think either. I don't. Go ahead.
I just think the function of somebody within the government having the ability to do that, just because this particular person or set of people we've seen reported on did it for their own personal needs and capacities or wants, it doesn't mean that the government isn't also doing it for their official desires. And that's the problem. That information.
You can't make that assumption, though.
I absolutely can, because they've already demonstrated that through, like, Edward Snowden. We've already seen that they do this. We've already heard them talking about it.
No, you guys have Snowden wrong. Everybody's got Snowden wrong.
Okay, then disregard Snowden. Like, let's talk about the fact that the DHS is using, what is it called? Geofencing and facial scans that they've taken in order to create a database of individuals and understand who is located within a given search area that they want to go find. And they're not using it to target a given individual they have probable cause for, but specifically just to go find people who they think might be undocumented.
Okay, this has always been a threat. Sci-fi movies have been talking about this since the 80s, 70s. I don't know, but obviously this has always been a reality that we have come to, where we're going to have this kind of a mass surveillance state that's going to exist. Everybody fucking knew that it was coming. Everybody knew that it was here. And you still can't expect privacy in public spaces.
The horse is out of the barn. I mean, when you, and I agree with Blossom on just about everything she's saying. But when you go to an airport and you hand them we used to just hand over our driver's license to get through TSA, right? With our ticket. And they put in our driver's license, right? Which is typically an older photo, right? And I tried to do that the last time I traveled, which was just a couple of weeks ago. and they wanted me to put my face in that scan. I didn't have a choice.
Yeah,
Which I
they
think
already
is
have that all documented. I haven't had
sorry.
my passport stamped the last 2 times I've left the country.
Yeah, no, it's called a CPS system. It tracks who travels and where.
They just well, it's not that well, sure,
Yeah,
but
again,
the
you don't
point is
have
they're
the
just
right. You
verifying
don't
your
have the right
identity.
to. Again, you don't have the right to privacy in public spaces. You just don't.
Well, Mojo, I would even make the argument that because it's regulated by the FAA, you definitely don't have a right to privacy. They need to know who you are.
I think like this is what I'm talking about. Like there is a status of what is like what there's a descriptive aspect here of saying, well, you go there and that's how things are. And I don't disagree that that's how things are. But like you're saying, you can't have an expectation of being in a public space and having privacy, but they can geofence while I am sitting in my home. And many people are sitting in their homes. I mean, they can use the function of me showing up to a protest to put me in a database that then they can monitor me with. And that's purely a free speech chilling activity. I'm not saying that I think these things aren't happening or that they haven't always been coming, but that doesn't mean that I think that they are right or not infringements of our privacy, which I think we ought have, and that we should stop fighting and allow them to happen because it was always going to be this way and there's no way to stop it. Like I disagree with that perspective.
Well, I think if you really want this to be implemented, you're gonna have to pass a constitutional amendment because that kind of what you're talking about right now is not in the Constitution. Geofencing is simply understanding that a person exists within a certain space in the country, and that space is usually a few square miles. So if you know that this person visits this coffee shop and this person goes to the protest here and this person works here, then it's very easy to triangulate where this person spends most of their time, especially if you know where they live too. So whether you're in your house or whether you're at the coffee shop or whether you're walking down the street, they're going to know that most of the time you're going to be in this area. That is, if I'm not mistaken, that's what geofencing is. And there's absolutely nothing illegal about doing that.
I think whatever, maybe I'm using the term wrong, but whatever they were using was the ability of them to go on their phones through this application and put 4 corners around a space, like a geographic area.
That is a form of geofencing, yes.
Yeah, and then they could use cell phone data that they're able to buy or whatever, like they're like whatever information they can access through cell phone companies and get literal profiles on who is in that geographic area that they have put in that app. I think that's a big problem. I do not agree with that.
I would have to look into that more than what you're talking about. I know that cell phones have SIM cards and SIM cards have the ability to be tracked. I know that if you ever wanted to not be tracked by police or anybody else, that you'd have to take the SIM card out. I don't know exactly how they work today, but these are all...
Well, they have eSIMs now.
I don't know what an eSIM is.
It's just an electronic. Like there's other tracing capabilities on your device. It's the SIM card technology is a little obsolete now. It's similar technology.
But Civics, couldn't you just use like Google tracking?
Well, Google can track you. The government would still have to get a subpoena.
Yeah.
The government doesn't just have access.
Why does the government have to have a subpoena when all they have to do is just type in a search query?
Mojo, like what's happening here?
No, I just
the child wanted to take his home away, so he got all pissed.
It's because Mojo, I didn't volunteer my data to the government. And when you sign those TNCs, you're not signing them with the government. You are signing TNCs with a private entity. And if the private entity does not have demonstrated to it the probable cause or whatever allowance they've provided in those TNCs between me and them, that, you know, the government can't overcome those specific clauses, then they have to go prove it to a court and say, hey, like, I mean, I'm not agreeing contractually with the United States government that when I use Google, they can go get my information.
You didn't agree with me contractually either, but I can go do it as well. And as an individual, I can do it. Maybe this can't be used in a court of law, and it probably never should be able to be used in a court of law if an individual does this. However, I can still do it. Even if I have a government job, I can simply go home or use my phone, my personal phone, to Google search you and figure out who you are. And yeah, I'm not going to be able to use that as evidence against you, but I can still do it as an individual.
Exactly, Mojo. You can't use it as evidence against me. You as a
That's
private
fine, but the
citizen do not
geotracing is
have,
not.
you don't
The
have a right.
the geotracing is not evidence. They're not using that to convict people.
No, they're using it to go collect people. You as a private citizen do not have authority granted to you via a social contract or societal contract to go jail me, to put me in through criminal proceedings, to potentially end my life through capital punishment. You do not have the same level of authority. You are not bound by constitutional constraints. The government is, and when the government engages in that action, they are the ones that need to be policed because they have an excess of authority well and beyond a private citizen with what they are able to do with that information. That is the difference.
Sure, but again, it can't be used to convict you of a crime, so it's nothing that's unconstitutional. All it can be used is to find you.
What is unconstitutional, Mojo, is what the government does or does not do. We do not assess you necessarily on the basis of your private actions being constitutional or unconstitutional. We assess the government.
Then as a private citizen on my private phone who happens to work for a government agency, I go figure out where you're at, and then I use that information that I figured out as a private citizen to go pick you up and arrest you.
You're not allowed to do that because you're a private citizen.
How do you
because you're a
stop
private
somebody from
citizen.
doing
Private
that?
citizens don't arrest people. That's called kidnapping.
No, the arrest is where the government comes in, but the finding is where the individual comes in.
But if the arrest is the government engaging in that action, then they need to prove what basis they were able to obtain that information and whether or not they did that. Yes, they absolutely do. That's
they
the
don't
point
have to
I'm
prove
making.
how they found you.
They got a tip, right? They can't go pick me up just because you gave them information. They have to have a constitutional reason to do it, a legal reason to do
prove
it.
how they found you.
No, but they do have to have a reason to go get me.
Yes, and that would be because you're breaking the law.
Yeah, but then you are talking about the statutory reasons that we sometimes usually agree the government should be able to go get you. But just because somebody gave you an anonymous tip of information about me is not the same thing. Like just because you as a private citizen can obtain that information and provide it to the government does not grant the government the authority to act on it. They have to have a different reason. We're talking about two different things. I am saying the government does not have a reason to surveil me, to pick me up, just on the basis, they have no probable cause on the basis that I disagree with government actions. And that's
but
the
that's
problem.
not what they're doing. That's what I'm telling you. That's not what they're doing.
But I am saying they are.
They're not just arresting you with no probable cause. They're arresting you because they had probable cause. If they utilize geo-tracking or geo-tracing to be able to do that, that's not arresting you. That's just finding you or figuring out where you're at to arrest you. Now, you have committed a crime. You're going to be charged with that crime. All they're doing is looking for you and going to figure out how they can pick you up.
It's a different conversation than the one we're having, Mojo. I am saying for an otherwise lawful citizen, you do not have a right. You do not have a right. That's what I'm saying. But this is the same. This is like backing into the like quote, right? Like, show me the person, I'll show you the crime. I mean, you can truly surveil anyone. We have a country full of 1/3 of adults, American adults, have some type of criminal record. I mean, does that not indicate to you that something we have done with our society has led to an over-criminalization, to an excess of police and law enforcement authority, if 1/3 of people have some type of criminal history?
I think it means that we're a free nation and we don't kill our criminals as much as other countries do.
Oh, Mojo, we weren't going to kill 1/3 of the country. There's 100 million people.
Fucking
The
Japan
idea
and
here.
shit does that. I mean, other countries do that. They just kill their criminals, or they.
Okay, you find me the country that's unalived 100 million people, and we'll come back together on that one. But seriously, I'm not talking about you trying to find a criminal. I'm talking about the government creating criminals by surveilling them through excessive.
You can't create a criminal by surveilling them.
Absolutely
You can't create a
then
criminal
what is
by
what they did
surveilling telling
the
them
New
you
York
are either
Times.
doing criminal activity or you're not.
That's not true. I just
It
told
is true.
you. Show me the person, I'll show you the crime. Is Monica McIver a criminal? Is Letitia James a criminal? Is Lisa Cook a
Letitia James
criminal?
is not in jail, nor is she be convicted of a crime. So no,
Well,
she's not a fucking
she's
criminal.
absolutely gone through a process with information provided to the government
Yes, she was
through their own
harassed by the
internal
government.
systems intended
Yes.
to criminalize her, where otherwise we would not think that she was. She's still
Yes.
in process.
Yes, she was harassed by this fucking government, and she should be. She is due a lawsuit after this, where she gets a shit ton of money for being harassed by the government. I agree, but she's not a criminal. They didn't turn her into a criminal. They might have. Yeah, they
Exactly, they indicted her,
but
which
they
suggests
haven't
that they are
convicted
putting her through criminal proceedings. She now has a criminal history.
They are arrested. They're harassing her is what they're doing.
Exactly, and
I'm
the
sorry,
government
being
shouldn't
indicted,
be able to do
I'm
that.
sorry, but being indicted does not mean you have a criminal history.
Being indicted suggests that you have been levied with criminal charges. When I use the term 1/3 of Americans have some type of criminal history, it's whether they have been arrested, indicted, or convicted of crimes. And that is 1/3 of this country. She is now going
You can't
through.
figure out if somebody's been indicted for a crime if they were found not guilty. Or
That
the
depends on
charges
whether or
were
not the
dropped.
records were sealed. We know she's been indicted for a crime and she hasn't been found
Yeah,
guilty.
because it was on the fucking front pages of every goddamn
And how do they
newspaper.
know that? And how do they know that? Because the records are
Because
public.
she talked to everybody and let them know that.
No, because the records are public. The same way that we know James Coney was indicted, Lisa Cook was indicted, because they filed that in court.
Yeah, Blossom, I don't know if I agree that an indictment, is criminality.
Show up on your background check?
No, it doesn't. Wait, it doesn't show up on a background check whether you got indicted for a crime or not. It's
I
whether you
believe
got
it
convicted.
would. If you have court records assigning you some type of charge, whether or not you were absolved of it, I think that shows up in your criminal background check.
Yeah, Mojo, I would agree on Blossom on this because
I don't think that's true.
It'll show
I
that
could be wrong.
there was an investigation.
No, there's no way they can figure out whether they investigated you through a fucking background check.
They can show that you had
Why
charges
not?
filed against you in court. An indictment
That
is
might
charges
be
being
true.
filed against you in court. That will
that might
show
be
up. Yeah, that's my point. Like, this can impact a regular citizen's ability to get a job. I'm not saying it's going to impact Letitia James. I mean, I think it will help her in the long run. But the point is that she is not a criminal, that we all agree these are sham charges, that the government used access to information that it has traditionally understood it should not be able to use to go after somebody for political purposes. That I have a problem with it. And that's the climax of what we have allowed to happen in regards to our personal information and what the government can do with it over the course of the last 20 years or maybe even longer than that.
I hope they do that to me. I fucking hope that the government comes after me and indicts me for some bullshit that they can't fucking convict me of. I hope they fucking do that. Because if they do that, I get to sue them. And I get to make a shit ton of money off the government.
I don't want to sue people. I just want to be left alone and be able to yell at people on TikTok. I don't want that to happen to me.
Well, if you could sue the government and make, $30 million or something like that, you could spend all your time arguing with people on TikTok.
But I don't want to. But how long does that take, Mojo? And to what reputational impact do I have? Am I able to get a job
I don't know.
in the
It gives you a
meantime?
lot more. It gives you a lot more credibility in the future when you're on TikTok arguing. Yeah, they indicted me, and I got to fucking sue them and won $30 million against the government. So you should listen to what I'm saying.
Do you really
Never
think
get
that
$30 million for that, Mojo? I'm just telling you. I'm just telling you.
Well,
You have to,
that's
wait a
not
second.
true.
Wait a second.
That's
You have
not-
to prove.
that's not
You have to
true.
prove.
That's-
Excuse
that's-
me. I prosecuted these cases. You have to prove damage. You
Yeah,
have to
that-
prove
yeah,
damage.
okay,
You
so-
can
okay,
get
so stop,
damages, but
stop,
you can't
stop.
get
Okay,
$30 million.
Stop. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. If you are currently making $700,000 a year at the job that you're working at, and you get fired from that job because you were indicted by the government, you can absolutely get the government to settle for $30 million.
Okay, can I respond to that?
Anyone making
so-
700K?
So here's the thing. If you have been damaged reputationally and you can prove that damage, yes, you could get that kind of money. But the average person like Blossom or myself or if I've just been simply indicted and I want to sue for my civil rights because, look, you harass me. You can't, the recovery amounts are just simply not astronomical. Unfortunately,
$750,000 a year. What are you talking about?
Unfortunately, or I would be very, very rich.
Blossom makes $750,000 a year. She'd absolutely be able to sue for $30 million.
I think $750,000 a year.
Really? You should.
Me?
Yeah.
No, I don't.
But you can sue for a vast amount of money. You can sue if it ruins your reputation as far as getting a job goes. You can sue for the entirety of your work career as to that reputation being taken away from you.
And there's things called mitigate.
You can get paid for 30 years worth of salary because of that.
Oh, because you don't have a job anymore and you don't mitigate your damages and you don't have the ability to go. I mean, they're going to defend
you can't get a job doing what you were doing because of the reputational harm that was done by being indicted under fraud or sham charges. You absolutely could fucking sue for not being able to get that job.
But you also have a duty to mitigate your damages, and you have to prove that you would not be able to work because it's called mitigation of damages. But
okay,
look,
so you go
can
apply
sue.
for some jobs and have them turn you down, and now all of a sudden you've mitigated your damages.
Mojo, you're simplifying it.
So I have firsthand experience with this. So generally, Mojo, you're right to some extent. They might grant you like a year, 2 or 3 of damages, depending on the size and the impact of the nature of what was done. But yeah, to Tennis's point, you have the responsibility to mitigate the damages. So like if they said you should get 3 years, you didn't go out and apply for any jobs, they might reduce that, saying you didn't do any effort. But at some point it's going to cut off because you can find something doing something else. Like if you're making $500,000, they ruin your reputation. You could go out any day of the week and find a replacement job at that salary level, but now you have to work outside your career and you can only find jobs 60 to 80,000. Then the difference between what you can mitigate and what you lost is the actual damages.
Yeah,
but they're not going to give it to you in perpetuity.
All you have to do is prove that the only place that's going to give you a fucking job is 7-Eleven.
Yeah, but they're not going to do it in perpetuity. They're not going to say you get this for the rest of your life because your life's not known, right? It's not known that if you might have gotten an aneurysm 5 years out, you might have decided to switch careers.
Really? You think that's something they're going to bring up in court?
No, that's why that's not brought up in court, but that's why it's not done in perpetuity.
I'm sorry. If you're expected to make a certain amount of money over your lifetime, and these false allegations have ruined that amount that you can make over your lifetime, you absolutely can sue for the amount of money that you're going to lose over your lifetime because of those charges.
That would that would not fall under damages. That would fall under like actual harm done. You might be able to get awarded like punitive damages in the millions for something along the lines that you're talking about, but not like actual damages caused, because actual damages caused doesn't go out in perpetuity. And Tennis, I probably should have gone to law school.
Well, he's going to believe it from you for some reason, even though I said the same thing. But yes,
no, I don't believe it from him. I'm fucking arguing against him. Stop that feminist nonsense right now.
I'm sorry, but he came in and he mansplained, and that's fine, Dad, because I love you, and you everything you said was correct.
I disagree with everything he said too.
That's fine, but you're not right. I'm sorry. But there is something called punitive damages, and you have to prove punitive damages, and jury will have to agree with you that what was done was egregious. But yeah, there are big punitive damages claims. But I'm just going to tell you, I'm not going to be long, but I have sued most of my civil rights career, and I've done other work, has been gender discrimination and sexual harassment. And when I tell you that the causes of action and the claims by these people and the egregious conduct that I have proven against certain companies on behalf of women, they still have to prove damages. That might be psychological. That might be the lost earnings, that they had to leave their job, that they couldn't get. They still have to prove it all, right? But these claims typically do not arise in really huge damage awards. They don't. Otherwise, like I said, I'd be filthy rich.
I would sue for $10 billion and then make the government settle for $10 billion or whatever.
Mojo. Yeah.
Like it worked for Donald Trump. What the fuck?
You know, it's like, unfortunately, I mean, if you do civil rights and you get somebody comes in your office and they get into a car accident and they have a fractured femur, they typically recover more than a claim for sexual harassment and gender discrimination, civil rights cases. They just don't pay that much.
Because that's not something that affects future earnings.
They could, like you were talking about, if
I'm sorry, but sexual discrimination at one particular workplace doesn't affect future earnings.
Yes, it does. I mean, I sued Coca-Cola. An employee of Coca-Cola. And at the depositions, this was so weird. There were 3 attorneys, when my client was being deposed, they all had Diet Coke sitting on the desk. It was the weirdest thing. But no, I mean, gender discrimination, there might be retaliatory, right? You're denying this person from exceeding in their career because they are a woman. Right, and if you can prove that,
Coke's going to be able to call Pepsi and say, "Don't hire this person because they'll sue you for gender discrimination."
That's not the point. The point is that.
But it is. I'm telling you, it doesn't follow you in your career. If you are sued by the government and an indictment shows up on a background check and you can't get a job doing what you fucking trained to do your entire life, then you are being harmed in the future by that.
Some
being
industries
discriminated by one workplace is not being harmed in the future. It's only being harmed right now.
Some industries can.
You may not be able to attain work, even though if you were retaliated against in your job against Coca-Cola, and you go and you try to get similar
work. Not hire you?
Perhaps not.
Oh, stop!
But then don't some industries blacklist you or? Like, I heard
it can happen, and it does.
Yeah, I think Hollywood does that.
I guess. I mean, if you can prove that, sure, you deserve all the money you can get out of it. I'm absolutely okay with that. But I just don't. I don't see why we should handcuff ourselves as a society so much in that we allow people to get away with felonious activity simply because you're worried about somebody watching over you while you're walking down to your local coffee shop.
Well, we're circling back to the surveillance state, and
yeah, that's what this is all about. It's all about Blossom freaking out about things that are absolutely constitutional.
I don't agree they're constitutional, but the horse is out of the barn.
Yeah,
it's not so bad. Not to say it's not so bad, just don't have any thought crimes.
That's what I'm saying. It's thought crimes. Like, we are getting to a stage where they are terming, like, we're going back to McCarthyism. I feel like, but with a turbocharged technology surveillance state behind it, like, and with fewer people able to access legal resources than ever before because of income inequality.
I'm telling you, with this president in power right now and what they're doing with fucking criminal activity for Antifa and for the communists and for the socialists and the Marxists and anybody that's a left winger, I'm telling you, you need to play into it. Play into this shit. Play it up. Say that you're a fucking Marxist and goddamn it, you have the right to free speech, and make them arrest you because you will be able to sue them and have the rest of your life taken care of, and then you can be on TikTok all the time.
I don't want to give up a career, to give up my personal life for necessarily that. I get it. This is just a difference of personalities, I think, Mojo. Like, I am not interested in the same kind of fight, and I don't think that people should have to be martyred. Now, I recognize that that's absolutely the possibility of the world we're in, of course. I just don't think it should be. And I don't think that we should give in to that as a reality. We shouldn't be accepting it.
Well, I'm not accepting it. I'm saying fight against it, but fight against it using the system that we have. And the system we
But you
have
are
allows
saying,
us to go after them when they fuck with us.
but you are saying be a martyr.
Being a martyr pays well.
Sure, but Blossom just said not all of us want to do that. Like, if she's content in her career, why be a martyr and have to switch careers just for survival?
I get it. If you don't want to deal with any of the side issues surrounding any of this, then don't take part in protests. Then don't be on TikTok unless you're completely anonymous.
But the First Amendment allows us to take part in protests.
You're gonna be monitored.
But isn't
if you
it
go to
like
protest.
Mojo? Are you trying to say like you want to have like a precedent that you can't do this? Like, let's say you had 1 million cases of what you're talking about, Mojo, and then it's really hard for them to push another case because they've already set a precedent that you can't do that as a government.
There is definitely something to be said about that. So when I talked about the RIA earlier, I guarantee you that they were never bringing anybody to the Supreme Court. There was no way they were ever going to sue somebody to the Supreme Court to suggest that stealing music by using a torrent site is something that you shouldn't be allowed to do. Because if they lose that case, they lose their entire market. So they're not going to put themselves in a position where they lose that case. They're either going to back down or they're just going to forget about it altogether and try and erase it from memories of everybody that ever existed in that particular process. And that makes you a person that stands out. You're the person that fought the RIA and won. So it's going to be your lawyer that wins from that. It's going to be you that wins from that because you get your name recognition because you're the one who did it. And you're going to be able to stop them from doing it to other people in the future because you have set the precedents now that they are not going to fight this to the Supreme Court. So yes, if you want to come after me because I call myself a Marxist, come the fuck after me. I'll be your fucking Huckleberry and I'll take your millions of dollars after I fucking sue your ass for doing what you're doing. And I will make sure that this government can't ever do that again to anybody else.
I think that's the problem.
Mojo, you're our Rosa Parks. Thanks, brother.
I think like the problem is, Mojo, that like they did do that with James Comey, like, and they re-indicted him. Like, I don't think, and I get it, right? This government is exacerbating flaws in our justice system and our government law enforcement system that have been there but not been used this way. But when we see them used this way and them say, all right, well, we're going to go find a different crime and go after you for that. You can't be martyred when they will just keep going after you.
Yeah, but you can, though. Abrego Garcia is a perfect example of that. They went after him once. They sent him out of the country to a prison. They got him out of the prison. They sent him back to the U.S. They tried to charge him with some more bullshit. And now he's here still to this day. And he has become that martyr. And they are going to win millions of dollars from the federal government for the process that they put him through. And there's no government agency that's going to try and do that again.
I don't know. I think they will.
Blossom, I would make the argument that you want to do these things. Maybe you don't want to do it, but you want others to do it. Therefore, it's settled law.
You're breaking up, dude. Yeah, you're breaking up, dude.
Sure. I mean, in this environment, yes, right? But the whole intention is that you are trying to get to the end point that I think should already have existed, and I'm happy to agree that we should get to that endpoint, however we do. And maybe it's just a methodology thing, but if you are saying we should get to an endpoint where you can't arbitrarily or capriciously indict people just on the basis of their political beliefs, I agree. We should be getting to that endpoint, but I disagree that they've had the capability up to now to do that, and in part because of their surveillance capabilities, because of the freedom we've allowed the government to infringe on us and our civil and constitutional rights. Like, I disagree that we are where we're at. I agree we are here. Like, I disagree how we got here. I disagree with the steps that have been taken, and I'm fine if that means that we need to go through and create precedent and have people get arrested to prove in court that this is unlawful. I just think we should be careful and conscious of allowing the law to become what it is today ever again.
Okay, somewhere in this process, I'm sure everybody noticed, or at least some people noticed. I obviously flipped. At first, I do believe that it's constitutional to do these things. I do believe, though, however, you are correct, Blossom. They shouldn't be doing these things. So at some point in the middle of this whole conversation, I decided, well, then I'm just willing to take the beating for it. I'm willing to be the martyr for it. Right now, it is constitutional. What we need to do is make it unacceptable.
Yeah, I mean, I think I always knew that's where you were going, Mojo.
No, you flipped me. I mean, this conversation flipped me on that, honestly.
Sorry, you're breaking up.
Blossom, outside of the court, like how else would you expect it to work?
Well, through law. I mean, I don't disagree. I think there probably needs to be a constitutional amendment because I think we're in a situation like we were just template wise. Don't get me wrong with what I'm trying to draw a parallel between, but what we were going into with the 14th Amendment and the need for its passage. It's very clear when you read the text of the Constitution that it should not have at any point distinguished between classes of individuals on the basis of race or gender, necessarily speaking, right? And yet, because they were doing that on the ground and it was being allowed, that we needed to pass an amendment to say very clearly, explicitly, that you can't do that. And not only can you not do that as the federal government, but also you states can't do it either. So I agree that however the Constitution that I think should be read, it's not being read that way. And to make it explicitly clear, then we should pass an amendment. And that's a far cry from where we're at today, being able to organize to do that. But the other way is just asking them to abolish ICE is a very real thing, because abolishing ICE is about chipping away at the power and organizations, the agencies that were built after 9/11 to police the homeland in the name of national security, but we're seeing a bastardization of that now. That's an important thing, that we have Democrats that are espousing that, prominent ones that would be very powerful in the Senate and the House to push that forward.
If you look at that case,
my fear of the. Oh, I'm sorry, Tennis.
Oh, just really quick. If you look at the case of the guy, and I forget his name already, who was apprehended for unaliving the insurance CEO out on Manhattan.
Oh, yes.
So there are a lot of issues surrounding his apprehension and how the government attained the records and the proofs to arrest him. So these issues, when you defend criminal cases, and you have hopefully an attorney worth his or hers or their salt. These are all, there's just a whole body of case law and ways that you can suppress facts and things that they got by illegally obtaining the information.
Crom, you wanted to say something?
I think that you guys are right philosophically. Philosophically, you're right. The government shouldn't be able to do this. The government should be limited in what kind of activities it can take part in. Philosophically, I will say that you're right. I would say legally, though, you're not. They do have the capability of doing it and defending it. So it's either going to take an amendment or it's going to take a martyr or both.
You know me. I think it's all of the above. I think we are going to have to throw everything out there that we can to, everything everywhere all at once. I mean, I think protesters should continue protesting. I think people that have the tolerance for it should continue to, be there and potentially become martyrs, not because I want them to, but because of your own point. I think that's going to be one of the only ways we prove in court that it is unlawful and make them stop. I also think we should be voting people into office that are willing to claw back some of these like statutory laws. And then we should also be trying to push people, because I think this would be something you find cross-party agreement on, that I've heard many independents and some conservatives say they also don't like the Patriot Act at all. And I think that would be a big step in the right direction to completely reform, if not repeal it.
Yeah, it's going to take a combination of all that. Well, and Donald Trump, I mean, fuck it, the catalyst is Donald Trump. Well, the catalyst is 9/11, but Donald Trump is utilizing this stuff like nobody else has before. He's using ICE, unlike unlike Obama, unlike Biden. He's using ICE in a specific way that is really, really harmful. So I guess we have to have him as a catalyst as well to push it too far.
And the shadow docket. Oh, sorry. We keep talking at the same time.
Yeah, I know. I'll
I feel like you're on a delay, Mom.
No, Blossom, so, and I'm just picking your brain here. If you want to abolish ICE, the actual job of ICE and HSI would just be pushed on to a different agency.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
you're not really abolishing ICE, you're just moving it from one DHS, entity to another. So
I have a tinfoil hat about it.
I'm listening.
I guess all I'll say is, like, I really don't view abolish ICE as exclusively going after ICE. I don't know what our lawmakers are thinking in that regard, but I think that there needs to be, like, genuinely a serious clawback of everything that DHS is involved with. Anything that we've done in the name of security, national security, post 9/11 needs to be reevaluated. But the spirit of abolishing ICE, in my opinion, is the idea that we need to start decriminalizing immigration. Or more pointedly, if you are going to treat immigration like a crime, people being here without lawful status as a crime that people can be detained for, then they need to be going through Article 3 courts. They do not get to create this self-policing, unaccountable organization within the executive branch that affords no legal counsel, that can hold people for however long they want on the basis of the color of their skin or their location at a given moment in time or the language they speak. I mean, that is incredibly invasive. That is authoritarian, and that needs to go away. And however we do that, whether it's getting rid of ICE or if it's completely under, like, reforming IIRA and INA and DHS and the Patriot Act, like, that has to be changed.
The INA definitely needs to be updated. I agree with that. But I'm actually in agreement with, like, the EOI courts. I don't think any court should be under the executive branch, personally, because we have a judicial system that's a third of our branch of government. But they are very knowledgeable about immigration law. I don't like that normal courts, like in the 9th District, make massive decisions for immigration law when they're not really, like, they're not an EOI court. They're not an immigration court. They're just a judicial court.
Make the EOI courts under Article 3. Put them under the judicial branch and have specific judges dedicated. I'm fine with you saying they should be.
I'm fair with that.
It's not the function of having a specific court for immigration. It's the function of it being under the executive. So I think we agree. And sorry, Stryker, you're going to say something.
I was going to say I had like a tinfoil hat thing about ICE. I was going to mention it yesterday. We were talking about like the National Guard, but like where you guys were, or before people were discussing about like how far would the military be willing to go for this president, and people say like, yeah, that's why like it wouldn't work because the military, they wouldn't open fire on citizens. When you think about how poorly ICE is trained, and you think about how like ICE is basically being treated as like a new kind of military branch. I mean, I see that's where ICE comes in, because they're the ones who are willing to do whatever this administration wants in terms of it being like a a rogue government now, basically with its own unaccountable military.
Yeah. And also, I was listening to your conversation, and you know what I hear. I hear Mojo, you're like a Marxism with your this style of thinking. And we had discussion before that, where my disagreements with your side, because I see world not perfect, and even here I see that in perspective of everything is good, everything work properly. Yeah, cameras, they don't do any damage, but in a reality like my reality, and we live in parallel reality, especially now, because like we experiencing right now so much terrorism, like we afraid to go outside, and exactly that what happening, because like immigrants, they don't have any rights, and if it's happening to us, they just choose our group to force, and we experience it in the first place. So for us, everything what government can use against us, just look in our community, and I don't I don't think if like even 2 years ago, you couldn't imagine that it's possible. It's happening in United States, that human rights, it's so demolished. Like nobody follow you say, oh, but they can sue a federal government, and you bring this Garcia. It's you bring a radical case which they couldn't stay quiet, because he was a citizen and he was in Dead Sea caught. But how many others was with him, and nobody talks about them, and they don't sue them. And how many others immigrants, you cannot sue them, you cannot even they break every right of human rights from immigrant today, like whatever, like illegal here, they kidnap you, put in detention, they move you between detentions, they don't give you access to lawyer, they don't give you access to family, they keep you for 6 months, they don't feed you, so you have to buy everything, they don't give you a bond. Like lawyers, every lawyer saying today, they don't know, they don't work on a law anymore in immigration process. Also, they fire an immigration judge who Trump disagree with his decision. So he make a decision about immigrant profit, but Trump just fire him and replace. How many immigration judges he fire and replace them with military judges? So this is like a playground to see what can happen to any group. It just us as a group today, they choose to do it, and they do it really successfully. So just saying that it's not going to happen to you, I don't understand why not.
Blossom's solution would solve for all those problems that you just mentioned, by the way. So if we take the immigration courts out of the hands of the executive branch, out of Article 2, and put them in the hands of Article 3, where they should be, then nothing that you mentioned would be happening or could be happening, because you would have access to lawyers and shit.
But I think it's purely like it's a hard conversation, because like the legal framework around this is very deeply entrenched in the ability of the executive to enforce immigration, almost as like a powers of the crown type thing. So it's a really, really tough argument to make. I don't know that you could easily do that without also having strong constitutional basis. But I do think the most salient argument is that if you are going to detain people and hold them for certain periods of time on the basis of more or less a civil violation, that does not jive. Like that is nice apples and oranges. What, Tennis?
I'm sitting outside. It's really nice weather, and I was saying that to my husband. But also, this problem is so there. Besides what Above Me Mimi was talking about, I mean, we're also talking about shadow dockets and Kavanaugh's shadow opinion that people can be just surveilled for being of a certain skin color and working at a car wash. So the problem is so deep and so vast at this point that a new Congress has a lot of work to do.
DHS was
But yeah,
created after 9/11 too, right? I mean, the entirety of DHS didn't exist before 9/11, right?
No, it was
right,
2003.
right.
And there's like
Yeah,
something like 23 agencies that are all under the umbrella.
yeah. So
They combined things. Like it's not like we didn't have immigration authority before then.
yeah,
So it's not totally fair of me to say that getting rid of DHS would end all of this. Like INA and IRA existed, and the immigration officials existed before that. But I do think that breaking them up and forcing each agency to reassess what it is, what it does, and how it does it is something. And I think a lot of people need to be fired. I think a lot of agents need to be fired. I think a lot of CBP needs to be fired.
this would be such an unpopular opinion to run on right now.
I don't think so. I think I could do it pretty easily.
You would lose.
I think it was
anybody
called
that's middle to the right.
INS before DHS.
It was.
Yes.
It was. DHS, though, incorporated FEMA and a whole bunch of other things, too. They just tried to put everything under one umbrella so it'd be easier for funding purposes or moving money around or whatever. We can break it back down again if we really chose to. If Congress could do that if they wanted to. But I don't know that any conservative in this country would allow that to happen. I don't think they'd vote for it.
But Mojo, don't you think that would complicate things? Like now you're going to have budgetary bills for 23 agencies.
Well, that happened before DHS, so I don't know why it can't happen again. But
also have like
but like HSI and ICE didn't exist. It was under like probably like a CBP thing.
Yeah, but organizations that were called something else did exist that did the exact same job.
Yeah, that's my point too.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But they individually have their own funding.
I know.
Don't you think too? Sorry.
No, go.
No, Blossom, what do you have to say?
Don't you think too that like FEMA being under DHS just like functionally doesn't make sense anymore? Like the idea, I think FEMA should be its own agency entirely, probably with much more attention paid considering the severity and frequency of, once in a century events, right? Like we need to reassess what this umbrella agency really does. And I think it would be very easy to run on repealing the Patriot Act. I think you would reach back to politics that are salient to conservatives, to Tea Party people, to independents, the Massey crew, that they've forgotten about, but that still matter to them.
Yeah, the problem with FEMA, because I've actually worked with FEMA before. I was just detailed there. The problem with FEMA is that you don't know how much a disaster is going to really cost. So to give them like an annual budget is a crapshoot. Because what if there's wildfires in California and a hurricane in Texas and then Florida and Puerto Rico get hit? It's like, well, now we don't have money. It's like the reason they went under DHS, I feel, is because they got a huge budget. And they can use those funds and use those resources. Because I don't work for FEMA, but I was detailed to FEMA from my agency to help out. And that was super helpful for them because they don't need a huge support staff.
The problem with having FEMA under DHS is that they can move funds from FEMA to build the fucking border wall, right? Because they all exist in the same agency, they can move funds around in specific ways like that where they couldn't before. I don't think the Patriot Act created the DHS. I think that was actually a separate bill. But I do agree with you that if you ran on getting rid of the Patriot Act, absolutely everybody would agree with getting rid of the Patriot Act. While the Patriot Act is a shadow of its former self, a lot of it has been sunsetted. A lot of it still exists too. So if somebody were to run on getting rid of the Patriot Act or what's left of it, I do think that they would probably win, but I don't think that solves our problems with DHS.
Right. It was created different, but it was all from the same era. It was all in response. So, but I agree that that's a miss on my part. Here's what I think. I think FEMA gets reappropriated into and maybe the Department of Energy as well, all get put into their own ecosystem of agencies that are intended to address the environment and infrastructure in this country. And I think you solve the problem of the budgetary needs by doing that. Because you can be redeployed via the National Guard, right? You can be deployed to the agency, regardless of whether it's under DHS or it's under some other new thing. But I would consider FEMA to be more appropriately aligned with agencies that are responsible for our infrastructure, our parks, our nature, and even like our weather service, right? All of that belongs in its own category, because then they can take the budget they have to use it to build better infrastructure that's more climate resilient. Like that all belongs in its own category to me, away from policing for counterterrorism.
Okay, I
like that.
think you're right. I absolutely think you're right now, Blossom. I think that if somebody runs on restructuring the entire federal government and all of the departments that we have in the federal government to make them make more sense, for example, you're going to be able to talk to people about ATF and how you can change that around and maybe add that under the wing of the FBI, or however it's going to work. You can talk about restructuring the government in such a way where everything that's under a particular department is meant to be under that department. So anything that has to do with infrastructure or natural disasters that affect infrastructure can be put under one department. And I think people would agree to that. That way we can fund all of the same things at the exact same time, instead of funding one thing that ends up going to something completely different. I actually think that's a good idea. If somebody would take that up as a platform, I think they'd probably get a lot of votes.
Yeah, we won Mojo.
Yeah, Blossom, I like it. I like it too. But the thing is, so like when we were FEMA, right, and we reacted to a hurricane, it had nothing to do with what you're talking about. It was virtually immediately relief for funding. It's pretty much we went door to door and asked them what their damage was and helped them set up a FEMA fund to give them X amount of dollars to keep them alive. Because what happens is when these communities get knocked by a hurricane, they have no power for 3 weeks. They're like, it's reeks of rotten food and trash pickup and
your
all this other stuff. It's a completely different issue. Why?
Because you are breaking up so bad and you are lagging, and I don't know what you're doing. If you're
am I?
Boonies or something.
No, I'm in my backyard, Mojo.
Can we hop back to immigration?
Well, I have one question for Crom, just really quick. Could I ask if you're willing to share what capacity you would have been deployed to support, but only temporarily?
Yeah, so how DHS works is we call them details. And so other agencies within DHS needs help and will be sent out for like 6 or 8 weeks to help out another agency for a backlog. And in the case of FEMA, it was a hurricane. And so I went out to the East Coast and pretty much we went door to door and helped people sign up for FEMA relief because there was no internet. There was no power to these houses because everything was knocked down. So we had like iPads and iPhones and we helped them sign up door to door.
Yeah, I think, and we can close this conversation. I think people are bored, but I think that
I get it.
Emergency response is incredibly unique. It's also why they leverage local, and why this was so confusing after the Hurricane Helene, right? They leverage local, non-for-profits and government at the state and county and city level, because they are more capable of working through the local infrastructure, of getting to the people. They have that information and knowledge and the network to do it, because so much of it is administrative and not at all related to competency of people. Like there's very limited, I think, like rescue missions that need National Guard involved. So much of it is like, how do we get you money and power again, to your point? And I don't think that necessarily disagrees with my idea, right? I mean, you need bodies. That's what you're saying, is you need bodies to go around to go get people. We can find and place bodies in the government in numerous different ways, regardless of whether or not it's under DHS. So I don't think that precludes the ability of us to restructure FEMA into something different with other agencies that just align more in their goals and their capabilities.
All right, I totally agree, but it's going to be really hard to find funding from other agencies because they don't want to give their funding up.
Sure, but that's always the thing. But I agree with that too. I don't think this is an easy thing to do by any means.
But that's why when it's DHS, they have no choice. Like there are some details where your superiors have no authority to say no. If you agree to go on one of these details, you go. Like that's it. Your senior leadership at the highest level can't say no. But if you separate it from DHS, they might have that ability to say no.
Or, I mean, we can talk more. I don't want to keep people tied to this, but I hear what you're saying.
I agree. All right. Let's move on. But that was just my experience.
Yeah, no, I value that feedback. It's an interesting perspective. I appreciate it. Dad, what do you want to talk about with immigration? Because I'll go all day.
Immigration, like something interests me, so I started building analysis. And looking at like the general prompt is review the militarized versus non-militarized versus hybrid approaches to immigration systems across developed nations for standards and measures or KPIs across immigration. For the various target audiences split out by political ideology popular in the U.S. right now. The output's pretty interesting. So specifically for it is geared towards like Republican conservative. It's my first pass on it, but KPI 1 is like cost efficiency, public burden. So that's the fiscal conservatism aspect. And the winner is non-militarized systems. So on average, taxpayers are spending $346,000 to $400,000 per person handled, or through a militarized system versus $4,000 to $10,000 per person for non-militarized. So that's a clear winner from the fiscal conservatism or cost efficiency standpoint. KPI 2, deportation velocity and execution rate. So I think this would be weighted higher for most conservatives. So the goal is like successful removal of individuals who have no legal right to remain, right? The winner there is also non-militarized systems. So they frequently do better than returning people, getting rid of people, deporting people out of the country. And I think this correlates to how we've seen the approach of Democratic versus Republican administrations in the past 20 years and why we consistently see higher deportations under Democratic administration and guidance. Third KPI is absolute deterrence. So I would weight this like up there with KPI 1, right? The removal. This might even be like number 1 for MAGA. I'm just guessing. The winner there is militarized systems. So this is preventing unauthorized individuals from crossing the border, right? So that is a winner. It's the physical presence at the border. And then KPI 4 is like vetting accuracy and fraud detection. So this is how do we know who's getting into this country, right? So this is the winner here is militarized / intelligence linked systems. So when you dig into that aspect, it's kind of a toss up between militarized versus non-militarized. The linchpin of that is the intelligent linked systems, right? So if you are having proper screening in place with the proper like cross-border intelligence linked systems, this is something that non-militarized type of agency could do too. So it's more about like data integration. It's just interesting to me. So like when it comes down to it, their approach to immigration is starkly in contrast with like cutting spending, right? And you could argue that a non-militarized system could do as good a job or better than a militarized system, with the exception of like absolute deterrence. So the one way the militarized system wins is like physical border protection with people at the borders, cameras, walls, stuff like that. But that's the only winner. And again, that's a huge cost. That's it. Thank you for listening to my TED Talk.
I think we come back to cameras. It's just like so complicated. Like to accept that this world is perfect. Like how you do not militarize. There's the same cameras supposed to, like even if we install cameras inside the cities and we just catching bad guys, like yeah, great. We all celebrate those cameras, but I don't know. Everything is so complicated, but how you trust the government, like it's take just one guy and a few months of hate speeches on every channel, and those cameras go against both way. It's just like no solution for the problem.
But Mimi, isn't...
I don't... Go ahead.
Sorry, Mojo.
No, go ahead.
Well, no, so I've always had a view with the immigration thing is why don't we go after U.S. companies? It's kind of like, in my opinion, supply and demand.
But it's
the companies
like,
have demand.
It's not even problem.
I'm sorry, Mimi.
Immigration, I think, in my point of view, it's not even immigration. It's not a problem. It's just like they need something to run on and group to decide what group of people to hate. And immigrants, it's the easiest to. They don't have so much right, and it's just. I'm LLC. You know, I'm an immigrant. I pay taxes. So but I'm an immigrant and I deserve hate because just I'm an immigrant. It doesn't matter company or not company. So it's no reason at all.
I totally agree with you. I'm not trying to be negative. I'm not trying to be negative.
No, I understand you. I understand what you're saying.
There's just a different approach. Yeah, there's just a different approach.
You're still breaking up, Conway.
As unfortunately, I'm sorry, sir.
You're still breaking up. You're breaking up.
God damn.
For me, it's just like in immigration, it's no problem at all. It just like approaches does not matter. Just leave them alone. They come here to work. Like keyword, those people come here to work. Why it's even problem?
100%. 100% agree with you. I have zero problem with what you're talking about. I'm just saying
so it doesn't matter
we
approach,
take the approach differently though.
What approach? It's just talking points for me.
So the approach. Okay, so we go after illegal immigrants, which to me is bullshit. If you go after the employer, that's a supply and demand. They have a demand for illegal immigrants, right? So if we went after the employers, then the demand would drop.
I don't think
and I'm not against. I'm sorry.
Sorry, you're just breaking up. I thought you finished. So I don't think immigration, like whoever pursues this problem, they know that they just a fake problem. So it doesn't matter what approach you bring them on a table. They don't care because they need this problem. It's a fake problem from a start.
100%. I totally agree with you.
As far as cameras go, you were saying surveillance state cameras, I think maybe.
Yeah.
It's too late. You can't stop it now.
You know, I'm like everything is conflicted here. Like so many times, people bring Chinese. They are ahead of us, and like only able to be ahead and do everything what governments like whatever. If let's imagine we have a good government who wants good for a country. In every country, you will have an opposition who disagree with that government. So you have to, if it's a democratic country, you have to go against those people and by the rules. In a authoritarian country, right? It's like easy to install, and like they install those cameras, they already there. Like if we look at, but also like from one perspective, so many people go as a tourist there. It's like, oh wow, it's so amazing. It's automated everywhere. It's camera. It's like you just scan, almost like you have a chip inside under your skin, and you pay with it. Like not reality, but just go far further. So, and everybody celebrating it. But this is the other side. The people very afraid of, it's like no freedom there. If you go right, you're gonna be punished if you're supposed to go left. So yes, I don't know. I understand that we cannot, it's a progress, and can we stop the progress? But can we speak about it? Can we just face what to expect? And I think that's what we're doing. Like, I don't know if you can stop or cannot. It's just like, yeah, it's scary. It's really scary because lately we see it doesn't take long. And yeah, we can have an America. It's, for me, a very good example today. So you were a great country. All what it takes, it doesn't take long. It's just a few months, a few years, and you fucked up.
I love this topic about like the party's different approaches to immigration reform, and love that you got on the like we should penalize employers for hiring undocumented immigrants. So the parties have two very different ways of approaching this. Republicans push the E-Verify route, right? This is electronic verification. So we've seen huge adoption of that over the past 20 years across the U.S. What we have not seen is a decrease in people being employed illegally, right? This closed the gap of the 1986 one, where they said you have to have these documents, because there was no teeth to it, because an employer could just shrug and say, well, they looked real. I didn't know they were doctors. So the E-Verify route is trying to eliminate the ability of undocumented people to use stolen paperwork, right? If two John Smiths across the U.S. and, East Coast and West Coast are both working a job, that can't happen. So it helps cut down on that. It did drive up penalties, right? But this is like the retroactive or reactive approach of the Republican Party. So if you look at the Democratic approach to it, it's getting worker protections and legal path integration in. So this is a like proactive way. So if we think about like what is the incentive to employers to employ undocumented immigrants, it's price break, right? They could get the work done for cheaper. That also has a negative impact of, downward pressure on the labor market, right, and suppresses wages for American workers, right, when their competition will take a job for a lower wage. So the Democratic approach to this is put worker protections in for all workers, regardless of their documentation status, because that means you can't get a benefit from employing undocumented workers. Like you can't pay them less than the American. You can't give them lower benefits than an American or a documented immigrant. So it takes away the incentive, right? Now the E-Verify route could work a lot better, but unfortunately it's got a lot of headwind pressure within the Republican Party from their lobbies of like, kind of blue chip large corporations, huge pushback from the agriculture lobby, the hospitality lobby, and the construction lobby, which heavily lean to the Republican Party and are those industries that benefit most from undocumented labor. So that's why, like, if I'm on the fence, I think the Democratic approach to worker protection and legal pathway integration is a stronger proactive measure to eliminate undocumented work. And as we all know, and I'm sure you've heard it before, like, proactive measures are cheaper than reactive measures. So it saves us money from the fiscal conservatism standpoint as well.
Amen. And also, you don't have to force to give birth babies from those American women.
Yeah, just take away the incentive for, like, employing undocumented immigrants. If they can't pay them less through worker protections, and that betters everyone, right? Takes away the downward pressure on the labor jobs or on the labor market. So we're all making more. There's no incentive, so there's no reason to. And then the problem fixes itself. If there's if there's a glut of jobs available for undocumented, because the financial incentive doesn't exist, then you naturally see a decline in immigration, undocumented immigration into this country as well.
But there's also more nuance that a lot of people on the right forget about immigration. Like, not everybody that is in the U.S. as an immigrant wants to become a citizen. And I think they kind of see it in that way, that they're like, oh, they're jumping the line for citizenship. And it's like, some of them are completely happy being a permanent resident or a temporary resident because they want to be here for 10 years and then move back to the country that they came from. Like, not everybody wants to be a citizen. And if you become a citizen, you're fucking taxed for life. I don't think enough Americans understand that. You can't just become an American citizen and then move halfway around the world without filing taxes. It's fucking annoying.
And imagine, like, let's fantasize that, like, I don't know, 2026, when we have this progress, when we have AI development, when we have a plane, we travel, like, it takes just few hours to be in another part of this planet. It doesn't take long. We don't use horses anymore, so we can live wherever we want to. And it's just like, but with all this immigration bullshit, it's like people come here to be able to work. They have to apply for political asylum because it's only way to work, or like those companies, if you don't have those companies, but you want to live in this country, you have to marry somebody or apply for political asylum. It's no other options. So imagine if some option when you can go in every country you want to go, you work there, you pay taxes, and then you want to move in another country, and you just move to another country. I don't understand why work doesn't work this way. Goal is to pay taxes. Okay, good. Let's pay taxes wherever you live. But you don't want to live in one country.
But that's the definition of non-immigrant visa. H-1B, L's, O's, P's, R's. I mean, that's what it is. It's a temporary visa, and then you go back home.
Yeah, but right now, even those visas under jeopardy. Like, people right now with any type of visa under suppression. Like, it not protecting you now.
I haven't seen that. You might be right. I personally have not seen that. Usually these people have no intentions of immigrating to this country, and also those visas don't have a pathway to citizenship outside of an I-140. So the I-140 is going to be very, very, like, tough to pass, because the I-140 is going to allow you to then have a pathway to citizenship. But the normal work visas here are just temporary.
When you said work visa, what do you mean? What requirement? So you have a L visa? Invest?
Yeah, so if you have an L visa, there's an L1B and there's an L1A, right? There's also the LZ, but the LZ is pretty much irrelevant. So if you come here as an L1A, you're an executive or manager. But you also have to work abroad, which means you've already established yourself abroad, right?
Mhm.
So there's really no pathway to citizenship through the L1A.
Yeah, but if you, for example, you don't have a company abroad and you just live in every country wherever you come and you establish company here, what pass do I have? What visa you will? What visa can I apply if I, for example, I live in France and then I decide, okay, I want to go live in the United States. Without
You'd have
having
to pass.
company.
You'd have to get an I-140 or an H-1B, but even then, it doesn't.
H-1B, it's a. I have to find a sponsor who will hire me.
Right, and it's going to be really difficult to get an
Exactly.
H-1B approval
So-
after an L1A approval.
Yes, exactly. So L1 and Malane, it's a. If I have a company outside, correct?
No,
if I have a
you
company,
to be a manager or executive within the company. No, you don't have to own a company. You can be part of the company.
Breaking up again.
so it's just like I have to be manager of some
literally
company.
in the backyard, just
can't understand.
You on Bluetooth?
No, I'm on speaker. Sorry, maybe I should just drop if I'm just being annoying.
Yeah, half the time you're breaking up. I don't know what to do about that.
Yeah, no worry, Mojo. I mean, I just this is like my wheelhouse, and so I'm super interested, but I'll drop because I'm being a problem.
Yeah, I think you are absolutely a fucking problem.
Especially for Mojo here.
I do like to
Sensitive.
hear what you have to say. I just God, it's getting annoying.
You have to change speakers, Mojo. Not too sensitive.
Well, I
Some
have a
bullshit.
headset.
Some bullshit Chinese.
I probably do need to change. I use a headset. I should probably figure out how to use a microphone and like earbuds or something. I don't know, but something I can control a little better. Oh, he didn't have to drop. We don't have anybody in here talking anyway. Maybe I'll just take a break and come back a little bit later.
Yeah, go do headstand, Mojo. It's hot.
Headstand? Really? I'm sorry, Sammy. I'm an asshole, right? I might just.
Are you going to go fish and get struck by lightning again?
I might. Well, I'm still doing that anyway. But I
and I thought, like, what happened to Mojo? It was lightning. Wow.
Well, I kind of want to at least restart the live, but I figure I might as well just maybe wait for an hour and fire back up again. So I might just go sit in VC and Discord and play my game for a little while, and then maybe come back up in a little bit.
Yeah, that makes sense.
We got no conservatives coming in anyway, so I kind of figure I'll just I either want to restart or just wait and wait for a little bit and then restart.
Okay. See you later.
All right, cool. I'm gonna go sit in Discord, you guys. If you wanted to come yell at me about something else, if not, that's fine too. I'll probably be back up. I don't know, in about an hour or so. We'll see if we can try it again.
What do you mean sit in Discord, like in the chat area?
In VC.
Okay, cool.
VC, and I'll put my game up because I've been playing my game. So I can sit there and chat VC and play my game. And if you're interested in watching, you can watch the game. Or if you're not, that's fine too.
Cool.
See you guys. I'm going to go to the golf course.
Yeah. See, I kind of figured somebody else was going to be leaving too. And even Ibanez is up here with a BRB background. So we got nothing really going on here. So probably good.
All right, see you guys.
Take a break.
Dude, again, my answer to my answer to your question. Hold on, Coach, I got it. My answer to what I had said to you You brought up the surrounding countries who go invade them. Iran is not a surrounding country. They would absolutely deal with every single country. They were already dealing with the Iraqi militias, Hezbollah, with the Houthis.